Chapter 602. When Emperor Yi found out that Dragon Lair was using 10% of the profits to buy a painting of Medusa, he couldn't help but look at Dragon Lair as if he was an idiot. "Your goal is just a painting?" Emperor Yi asked curiously. "Ahem. It would be best if I could see her real face." Dragon Lair said excitedly. "This painting is just a casual description. It's not a real person. I don't want to sell it and won't sell it. Dragon Prince, please give up." Emperor Yi suddenly rejected Dragon Lair's request. His attitude was so firm that Dragon Lair had no choice but to give up. Medusa was a wanted person. The three princes held high positions and naturally didn't know that this was the wanted Medusa. They also wouldn't pay attention to such trivial matters. However, selling this painting was equivalent to announcing Medusa's existence to the public. When Emperor Yi thought of this, he hurriedly took down the painting of Medusa. Dragon Lair felt it was a pity and had no choice but to give up. "Dragon Prince, since my son is unwilling to sell it, don't force him." Yi Qinghan smiled. Po Chengfeng's attention wasn't on Medusa. He only wanted to obtain the distribution rights of the Drunken God Brew. He took the initiative to help Yi Qinghan return to the topic. "Manor Lord Yi, would anyone else know the recipe for the Drunken God Brew? If someone were to make the exact same wine?" Po Chengfeng asked in a low voice. He didn't want to cut off this source of income. "Of course not. I created this recipe myself. I believe that the entire mythical plane doesn't have any of the ingredients in the wine." Yi Qinghan said confidently. "The thicker the juice of the star-twining vine, the stronger the alcohol. There was also the 7 Despair grass. This was something that only the 7 Despair Valley had. The ingredients needed to make pure Drunken God Brew were not easy to obtain. However, I may need to rely on the three of you for the other ingredients." Yi Qinghan looked at Dragon Lair. Most of the ingredients were in the sacred dragon divine kingdom. With the Dragon Prince purchasing them, not only was it convenient, but the price would also be very low. However, he didn't seem to be very interested in the dragon nest. If it wasn't for the Drunken God Brew, he would have left long ago. "If the Dragon Prince is willing to help, I can give you a special wine every year. There is only 1 jar per year, but it will definitely be a supreme wine that you will never be able to drink in your lifetime." Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. "Exceptional wine. All right, I'll try my best to help you." Dragon Lair was still not very interested. His attention was still on the portrait of Medusa. It was impossible for Medusa to marry an outsider. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi would not agree to it, and Medusa would not agree to it either. Therefore, the Dragon's Lair could only sigh at her beauty. It was at this point that Medusa gracefully entered. She had just emerged from seclusion, having consumed so much godhood that she was on the verge of reaching the level of rectors. Therefore, she had come to inform Yi Qinghan that she was going to meet with the three princes. Hissed at even Chengfeng, who had always viewed beauty as unparalleled, sucked in a breath of cold air. Ren Huangye's temperament was unparalleled, while Medusa's beauty was peerless in her generation. She reigned supreme over both ancient and modern times. She did not have the aura of a human, but she was like a fairy. Most importantly, Medusa had an indescribable charm. She was enchanting and soft as if she had no bones. There really is such a person. Dragon Lair's interest was immediately piqued. He couldn't wait to perform well. Medusa looked coldly at the three of them. She didn't greet them. Instead, she said to Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi, "I will be in seclusion for a while. Do not disturb me." "You want a breakthrough?" Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. Once Medusa broke through, she would be at the level of a rector. Apart from the high-level priests, no one would be able to do anything to her. The divine nation's wanted order would exist in name only. They might even take the initiative to revoke it. Medusa nodded. She reached out and pulled Emperor Yi over. She said gently, "Sister, help me. I need the soul-cleansing song." Emperor Yi pulled Medusa out of the main hall. Even the cloud beasts and divine birds were left behind. Once Medusa left, Dragon Lair no longer looked disinterested. In order to curry favor with Yi Qinghan, he said, "Brother Yi, I will agree to everything you said just now. If we cooperate, I will get 30% of the profits, and you will get 70%. I will provide the materials. Let's get 40% and 60%. I will not take advantage of you. Also, I want to recruit some blacksmiths and alchemists. I hope the two of you can help me when the time comes. Yi Qinghan looked at Dragon Lair and Chengfeng. The business he wanted to do was not just wine. His main business was obviously divine weapons, divine artifacts, and life-saving pills. What was the most important thing for blacksmiths and alchemists? Divine fire. Yi Qinghan had a top-grade divine fire. In fact, it would soon evolve to a 12th-grade divine fire. At that time, he would be able to refine top-grade 12th-grade divine pills and mid-grade divine artifacts. What grade of divine artifacts and elixirs was the most important for a middle-level cultivator? Obviously, it was the 12th grade. Absolutely no problem. If anyone is willing to come to the Crazed Manor, the Martial Divine Kingdom will not stop them, Chengfeng said without hesitation. The Sacred Dragon Divine Kingdom will support the development of the Crazed Manor. Dragon Lair promised. Yi Qinghan knew that Dragon Lair was on steroids. It must be because of Medusa. However, he did not point it out. He would leave it to fate. With Dragon Lair's support, the Crazed Manor announced that they were recruiting all kinds of elites. As long as one had a specialty, they would be supported by the Crazed Manor. They would be given a mountain for the strong to establish their own sect. In addition, they were recruiting top-grade blacksmiths and alchemists. The reward was a 12th-grade divine fire. However, in order to obtain a 12th-grade divine fire, they would have to pass the Crazed Manor's assessment. However, the Crazed Manor required that no sect could have more than 1,000 private soldiers. There was no limit to the number of disciples. The Crazed Manor had to control the military. That was the bottom line. In order to attract all kinds of elites, Yi Qinghan offered a lot of benefits. Some powerful sects wanted to move their mountains. However, many people were hesitant and did not dare to join the Crazed Manor at this time. After all, the three divine kingdoms had not yet expressed their stance. However, Dragon Lair and Chengfeng joined forces and announced that they would support the Crazed Manor's development. Even the mythical plane was shocked. The two divine kingdoms' princes had joined forces. This was unprecedented. It was obvious that the two princes had received the tacit approval of their divine kingdoms. Otherwise, they would not have dared to make such a statement. Tai Qingxian did not have the right to express their stance. Dragon Lair and Chengfeng also did not take him seriously. The Crazed Manor was silent for a day. However, on the second day, it suddenly became lively. Many masters with special skills came to visit. Some wanted to join the Crazed Manor, while others wanted the Crazed Manor to support them in establishing their own sect. Yi Qinghan brought in people from the inner sect to help. As long as their background was clean and their skills were beneficial to the Crazed Manor's development, they would agree to all of them. The Crazed Manor was very busy. On the afternoon of the second day, an expert came to the Crazed Manor. His aura covered half of the manor like a supreme king. Even the three princes were alarmed. They rushed out of their rooms. When they looked up, they could not help but gasp. Outside the Crazed Manor's main hall stood a white-haired old man. Beside him was a 7- or 8-year-old boy. He looked like an elf. It was impossible to tell his gender. A 12th-grade divine medicine master. One of the three divine medicine masters of the mythical plane, Master Yaoken. Dragon Lair was shocked. This person was a maverick. Even the three royal families could not recruit him. Why was he here today? Chapter 603. Po Chengfeng was dumbfounded. He was very familiar with the person in front of him. Back then, he had tried to recruit Yao Ken as a special envoy of the divine nation, but he had been unceremoniously expelled from the Medicine God Valley sect. Now, he had come to the territory of the Crazed sect. Was the Crazed sect really that attractive? The drug god. To be able to be revered as the medicine god by the people of the world, which one of them could not revive the dead. As long as they did not die, the drug god could always bring the dead back to life. However, there were very few people who could invite the drug god to save people. What they needed the most was not materials or money, but godly fire. There were many 11th grade godly fires in the Middle Realm, But 12th grade godly fires were hard to find even in 10,000 years. Fire was the most violent element and difficult to control. A 12th grade fire god had yet to appear. The drug god was tempted by Yi Qinghan's promise. Yao Can had white hair and white robes. He stood in the wind. Yi Qinghan hurried out to welcome him. The crazed sect is honored by your presence, Master Yao Lao. I, Yi Qinghan, welcome you on behalf of the crazed sect and the crazed sect. Yi Qinghan was very respectful. Yao Can was an alchemist who had reached the pinnacle of alchemy. With him around, he could attract countless mid-grade and low-grade alchemists. The alchemy industry would be like the sun in the sky. If a large sect had a supporting industry, it could support the entire sect. The alchemy industry and the alchemy industry were eternal pillars. In any era, as long as there were people and wars, these two industries would not go out of business. Yao Can looked at Yi Qinghan's attitude and was very satisfied. A sect leader was greeting him as a junior. What more could he ask for? Alchemists and alchemists had strange personalities. They did not like to be restrained. Money was like dirt to them. They did not need divine crystals. They only wanted to improve. Their stubborn thirst for knowledge made them the most difficult people in the world to get along with. Just like the Guqin master he met in the Nine Serenities realm. Even the Nine Serenities master could not force him to do anything. Well, I heard that you have a 12th grade godly fire? Yao Can asked. Yi Qinghan waved his hand. The 11th grade godly fire burned the void. The temperature was terrifying. It was only half a step away from becoming a 12th grade godly fire. 3 months. After 3 months, I can provide as many 12th grade divine flames as you want. Yi Qinghan said confidently. The little guy beside Yao Can widened his eyes and opened his mouth wide. He looked at the origin of fire in Yi Qinghan's hand in disbelief. What do you want? Yao Can's calm mood was finally aroused, and he asked in a low voice. You can join the Kuang Zone. No one in the Kuang Zone will restrict you. I can even buy the divine medicines that you make, instead of giving them to the Kuang Zone for free. Your identity will be the glory of the Kuang Zone. What do you think? Yi Qinghan only wanted this godly apothecary to stay. He didn't dare to make any excessive demands. With such a stubborn and paranoid person, the better he treated him, the more he would feel like he owed him and would instead give him benefits. However, the more he wanted to squeeze him dry, the more he would leave. Such a good deal is not easy to come by. I will not take advantage of you. As long as you provide the materials, I will refine it for you for free, as long as you can provide me with a 12th rank divine flame, Yao Can said in a deep voice. Thank you very much. You can choose any spiritual mountain in the territory of the Kuangren clan. No one will disturb you, including the inner sect of the Kuangren clan, Yi Qinghan promised. As long as there is a divine flame, it is the same everywhere, as long as it is quiet, Yao Can said indifferently. Mister, please come in. For the time being, you can stay in the inner sect of the Kuangren clan. Tomorrow, we will build the medicine god's residence for you. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and then led Yao Can and the boy to a spiritual mountain behind the Kuangren clan. This was the residence of the inner sect and also the address of the Kuangren clan. It was only a few miles away from the Kuangren clan. The scenery here was beautiful and the spiritual qi was dense. A large spiritual qi gathering formation almost enveloped the entire mountain range. At this moment, even Lu Zhantian was cultivating here and had not reorganized the Tai Dragon army. The 30,000-strong Tai Dragon army was stationed at the periphery of the mountain range. The Kuangren clan gave them a large amount of divine crystals and elixirs. They were ready to turn the Tai Dragon army into a truly supreme divine weapon. The Tai Dragon army was courageous and loyal. No matter how many divine crystals and godhoods were spent, Yi Qinghan would not frown. The 30,000-strong divine priest army was the only trump card of the Kuangren clan. Although the number was small, they were united. Therefore, Yi Qinghan did not transfer divine priests from the blade of Lulan and the dragon cavalry to fill the ranks of the Tai Dragon army. As soon as they entered the spiritual mountain, Yao Can could not help but nod. He looked at the large formation that had integrated the 8 trigrams of yin and yang and various divine formations. It was enough to withstand the attack of a master of the Kwangren clan. Very good. This will be the place. I will choose any courtyard. Yao Kan saw that there were villas on top of each mountain. The buildings were very stylish and were very suitable for people like him who had a peaceful temperament to live in. Yao Kan had a good eye. He scanned the area with his divine consciousness and chose the most remote mountain. The surrounding cliffs were messy, and clouds and mist rose to the sky. There was a huge courtyard house there. It was a side house that Yi Qinghan had specially built. It was Ren Huangye's resting place. However, recently, Ren Huangye had been accompanying Yi Qinghan in the residence and had not moved. Yi Qinghan did not stop him. It was worth it to exchange a mansion for a godly pharmacist. Yao Kan brought the apprentice into the courtyard. All the daily necessities were brought by themselves. Yi Qinghan did not need to do anything. You can go. Come and find me in 3 months. Our agreement will be effective then. Yao Kan took over the courtyard and asked Yi Qinghan to leave. Yi Qinghan smiled and left. He was in a good mood after obtaining one of the 3 great godly pharmacists. Back in the mansion, Long Lan and Po Chengfeng looked at Yi Qinghan enviously. Brother Yi, you already have a godly pharmacist. Do you still need to sell wine? Of course. My family is big and I have many people. If I don't have money, how can I support them? Yi Qinghan pretended to be helpless. Little did he know that he was overjoyed in his heart. The 2 of you, help me spread the news. Tell the world that Yao Kan is a godly pharmacist in my Kwangren mansion. Join my Kwangren sect. As long as a talented pharmacist joins my sect, they will be able to receive guidance. Yi Qinghan said seriously. Brother Yi, are you trying to get all the elite pharmacists in the world in one fell swoop? There are only 3 level 12 pharmacists. They never accept disciples or teach them. If you do this, the 3 divine colleges will be angry. Long Lan frowned and reminded him. I have nothing to do with the divine colleges. As long as they don't provoke me, they can recruit pharmacists while I recruit pharmacists. We won't interfere with each other. However, if they make things difficult for me, I will be unhappy. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Yi Qinghan's meaning was clear. Whoever made him unhappy, he would make them unhappy. The Kwangren sect would not cause trouble and would develop independently. However, whoever stood in their way, he would get rid of them. Po Chengfeng did not care about the 3 divine colleges. Po Chengfeng lacked godly medicines the most. Since they could work together with Yi Qinghan to sell wine, they could also work together to sell medicine. If there were benefits, anyone could be the boss. If there were no benefits, they could give up on the divine colleges. Therefore, he took the initiative to help Yi Qinghan spread the news. Instantly, many pharmacists, low-grade pharmacists, and apprentices were attracted. Chapter 604. With a divine alchemist in charge, even the alchemy students of the divine college wanted to go to the insane sect's territory. However, seeing that the divine college was about to make a move, they stayed put and waited to see how long the insane sect could last. The alchemy students of the divine college were all intelligent people with extraordinary talent in alchemy. Moreover, each of them had a terrifying background. However, the others did not have such keen insight. Even the alchemy apprentices were heading to the insane sect's territory. Yi Qinghan accepted them without hesitation. As long as they had the talent, he would accept them even if they were just apprentices. While the alchemy industry was developing, the winemaking industry had quietly developed in the insane sect's territory. Those who had the talent for winemaking and those who loved wine could join the winemaking industry. Yi Qinghan personally trained them, and the dosage was strictly controlled. As long as they followed the procedures, they could produce drunken god wine and other divine wines in large quantities. In the eyes of outsiders, the insane sect did not seem to be interested in developing their army. Instead, they liked to develop various useless industries such as engravers, blacksmiths, plantations, herbs, and so on. These professions were considered inferior in some sects, and very few people would do them because they had no combat strength. When war came, they could only wait for death. However, the insane sect promised that if war came, the army would protect them. Even if they died, the insane sect would die first. Therefore, a large number of masters in these professions rushed to the insane sect's territory. As long as they handed over 30% of the profits every year, they would be protected by the insane sect's army. No one could bully them. Although the insane sect's territory was not too big, it was enough. Every piece of land was used and developed to the best advantage. Every inch of land was worth its weight in gold. This was the insane sect's territory. In just a month, the insane sect's net income was more than 1 billion low-grade divine crystals, and more than 30 million mid-grade divine crystals. Yi Qinghan brought Li Shang back and put her in charge of the plantation. The insane sect personally cultivated divine herbs. Everything was on the right track. Large quantities of divine wine were produced in batches. They began to be shipped to the 2 divine nations, but not to the 3 clear divine nations. The high-grade drunken god wine was a limited edition, and it was difficult to buy one. With the 2 princes personally selling the drunken god wine and other products, the divine wine was sold out in just 3 days. The insane sect's net income of 300 million low-grade divine crystals was only the net income of the insane sect in 3 days. In order to see Medusa again, the dragon's lair went all out. They personally sold the wine and bought the materials. The price of the materials was very favorable, more than 10% lower than expected. Being a winemaker had become one of the most popular professions. Anyone who could join Kuang Zong's winemaking profession would become rich. However, it wasn't that easy to join the winemaking profession. Winemaking and planting divine herbs were the only professions that Kuang Zong was personally involved in. As long as one had a clean background, they would have to go through layers of tests before they could enter these 2 professions. The insanely. The insane. 2. And. Yi Qinghan worked hard for 2 months. There was only a month left before the meeting with Yao Can. He began to cultivate in seclusion, trying to evolve the origin of fire to the 12th grade. Once the 12th grade origin of fire appeared, he could make a lot of money just by selling it. Now that the insane sect's army had grown to 3 million, they needed a large amount of divine crystals and divine herbs. To develop into a business empire, money alone was not enough. They also needed a strong army to support them. Only then would they not be controlled by others. With a large number of divine crystals in operation, the Kuang sect began to boldly recruit cultivators to join the upper echelons of the Kuang sect's army. Renhuang Yi was the examiner, and no one who could deceive Renhuang Yi had appeared so far. Only those who were sincere in developing themselves in the Kuang sect could join the upper echelons. Otherwise, the Kuang sect would not even bother to accept a mid-level god. Medusa had entered the state of evolution and needed a year to recover. Medusa entered the inner sect of the insane sect. At this moment, she did not have to worry about being hunted down. Everyone in the inner sect was worthy of her trust, which made her feel particularly relaxed. During this month, Yi Qinghan mobilized the fire source and occasionally joined forces with the little golden crow to devour each other's flame essence. His progress was extremely rapid. His body had been refined to the point where it was like divine iron, comparable to a lesser divine artifact. Even Berserk had been reforged. The origin of fire was getting stronger and stronger. It was getting closer to the 12th grade. The origin of fire was getting bigger and bigger. It was almost entering the realm of a medium god. Yi Qinghan frowned. He found that entering the realm of a medium god would cause the 5 elements to be very uncoordinated. After entering the realm of a medium god, not only would his combat power not increase, it would even decrease a little. Only the origin of fire was strong. The other 4 origins did not break through to the 12th grade. They had not even reached the great perfection of the 11th grade. At this moment, he could either give up or choose to cultivate other origins. But there was not enough time. It seems that I can only slowly adjust my advancement to the medium god. Yi Qinghan gritted his teeth and chose to break through the origin of fire. A large amount of fire element divine power gathered and attacked the origin of fire. With a roar, Yi Qinghan's momentum increased greatly. The aura of a medium god spread out and covered a radius of 10,000 miles. The violent fire element drifted in the air and attracted Yao Can. There were still 7 days before the appointed time. Yi Qinghan broke through as promised. He could freely mobilize the 12th grade fire element. The secret art of fire could break the sky with a snap of his fingers. But the other elements were suppressed and could not be used at all. Even the 5 elements Dao body had lost its effect. Overall, Yi Qinghan's combat power had increased, but for him, it had decreased a lot. It seems that I need to buy a lot of 5 elements divine treasures. This breakthrough is not a good thing. Yi Qinghan slowly stood up. His skin was scarlet red, and even his hair had turned golden red and shimmering. Yi Qinghan withdrew the origin of fire and stepped out of the mansion. He looked down from the sky and saw the prosperity of Kuang Mansion. One after another, great achievements rose into the sky and sects gradually rose. He felt very proud. Master, we're rich. Emperor Yi was extremely excited. He rushed over from afar and said proudly, in the past 3 months, our net income has exceeded 10 billion low-grade spirit crystals, 300 million mid-grade spirit crystals, and 300 billion top-grade spirit crystals. The number of spirit crystals seemed shocking, but to the people of the upper echelons, they used high-grade spirit crystals as currency. Exchanging so many spirit crystals and spirit crystals for high-grade spirit crystals was not much. Yi Qinghan was naturally not satisfied. This amount of spirit crystals was not enough for him, let alone so many people. Yes, 50% of the profits will be used to buy the origin of godheads. Strive to develop the 3 million strong army into the main force. The God Temple must occupy more than 50%. Yi Qinghan nodded and said. Chapter 605. The insane sect's development was like the sun in the sky. In just 3 months, they had built their territory into an iron bucket. There were a total of 9 defensive checkpoints in all directions, mainly guarding against the attacks of the 3 divine kingdoms and the College of Divinity. The inner sect of the insane sect came out of seclusion one after another, and the insane sect showed unprecedented strength. When more than 40 individual kings gathered together, they could scare off an entire prefecture's army. A year later, the insane sect would have 2 prefecture-level existences, and they could definitely wipe out any prefecture. If the 2 prefectures joined forces, the insane sect would also be able to wipe out any prefecture. The insane sect had not taken sides yet, but it was developing rapidly and making a lot of money every day. This made many forces jealous. There were many transcendental forces in the mythical realm. They were not part of any prefecture, but they were also attached to the 3 divine kingdoms. The 3 colleges of divinity were the most successful, and they had developed to be on par with the divine kingdoms. There were also forces that were not as powerful as the divine kingdoms, but were stronger than the average prefecture. They did not have such a large territory, but the insane sect did. Although there were only 56 prefectures, there were far more than 56 prefecture-level existences. There might be hundreds or thousands of them, and they occupied every corner of the mythical realm. They might start a sect and become a grand master of a generation, or live in seclusion and develop into a huge family. There were also some who became wanderers and traveled the mortal world. These people had a huge social circle that only prefecture-level existences could join. Even the mid-level supreme existences could not. This social circle called itself the Gods Organization. There were a total of 362 people, and they were all half-step superior gods. Those who could enter this circle had to be introduced by someone in the circle. They shared information with each other, exchanged treasures, and exchanged ideas. On the surface, it was peaceful, but the competition in the dark was extremely cruel. It could be even more brutal than the competition between the prefectures, and it could easily destroy the world and slaughter one side. This group of people would gather if there was something to gain, and if there was nothing to gain, they would disperse. They were truly outside the rules. God's organization had an alternate dimension. The members of the circle could enter the alternate dimension from any corner of the middle plane. However, only their souls could enter the alternate dimension. Their physical bodies could not enter the alternate dimension. Once more than 30 half-step superior gods gathered in the alternate dimension, something big would definitely happen in the middle plane. If more than 100 powerhouses entered the alternate space, it would definitely alarm the God Nation. There were very few mansion masters in this circle. Most of them were the clan masters of various aristocratic families, the clan masters of powerful sects, or the super itinerant cultivators of a generation. At this moment, more than 20 priests who were half a step away from the superior god realm had gathered in the alternate space. Although there were not many of them, the divine kingdom had already reacted somewhat. This showed how powerful these people were. These people were unfamiliar to him, but if the Mu clan's master was here, he would definitely recognize them. These people were either the masters of families or sects above the 12th grade, or the chief commander of some powerful mercenary group. They were not inferior to him in terms of status or combat strength. Tai Zhan, the leader of the top 10 mercenary groups in the mythological dimension, was among them. Tai Zhan's cultivation base was stronger than the Mu clan's mansion masters. His soul transformed into an afterimage, and he could crush a medium god to death with a single glance. The clan master of the Shui clan, Shui Chengwu, was as handsome as jade. Although he was as beautiful as a woman, those who knew him well knew how powerful he was. He could freeze the divinity of a medium god priest in an instant. Even the mansion master had to salute him when he saw him. The clan master of the Shui clan was famous for their good looks. The men were enchanting, and the women were charming. They were as white as snow. Among the top 10 beauties of every generation in the middle dimension, the clan master of the Shui clan had at least 2 of them. The clan master of the Lai sect, the Wild Knife Alliance, the Path of God cultivators, every one of them was famous, but now they were gathered in one place as if they were discussing something. Just when everyone was silent, a middle-aged man appeared in the alternate space. He was gentle and elegant, but there was a hint of fierceness in his eyes, which made people shudder. He was Han Mang, the teacher of the Fire Source faculty in the Tian-Ke Divine College. His alchemy skills were deeply respected by the royal family of the 3 Clear Divine Kingdom. Han Mang swept his gaze over the crowd, bowed slightly, and said, "Greetings, brothers. I have contacted you this time for a simple reason: to eliminate the insane sect. My divine college has always been aloof from worldly affairs and does not participate in worldly affairs, so it is not convenient for us to act. I would like to ask the brothers here for help. Who is willing to do it? What are the benefits?" Tai Zhan was valiant. He was 2 meters tall and looked like a giant. Everyone looked at Han Mang. It was obvious that these people did not care about emotions, only benefits. Whoever acts will have the insane sect's territory. The Tian-Ke Divine College will definitely keep this place outside the rules. Also, the insane sect's industry has already developed, so they can go wherever they want. The Divine College does not need anything, Han Mang said calmly. Tai Zhan did not believe it. The Divine College would not rise early if there were no benefits. How could they call for everyone to eliminate the insane sect without taking any benefits? We have worked together for so long. If you have something to say, just say it. It is not a good habit to be hesitant, the leader of the Wild Blade Alliance, Blade Emperor, said bluntly and unhappily. The insane sect interferes with the benefits of the Tian-Ke Divine College. That is the reason why I contacted the 20 of you, because you are the closest to the insane sect and have the strongest combat power. If you are willing to help, I can provide you with information about the insane sect. One force may not be able to take them down. It will require 2 or 3 forces to work together. Han Mang stood proudly and looked at the 20 people. It is just a small force that has just developed. Even if they have a mansion master behind them, so what? It is not difficult to kill that old thing Gong Yang. He is old and no longer has the will to fight. If it were not for the fact that he is the mansion master, his territory would have been taken down long ago. Tai Zhan said with disdain. He had the strongest mercenaries, but he did not have a territory suitable for development. He had long wanted to take down a piece of blessed land, but there was no suitable place for him to do so. Now that the insane sect had taken over Gong Yang, he was tempted. The promise of the Divine College had become his motivation. No, the insane sect is not as simple as you think. There are a total of 43 people in the inner sect, and all of them are kings of soldiers. They are equivalent to 43 third-year students of the Divine College, or even fourth-year students. With such a force and the cooperation of an army, it is not difficult to kill a mansion master. In addition, the insane sect has a mansion master. So I would like to remind everyone that if you want to make a move, you must be fully prepared. Insane sect has such great benefits, it is not good for one person to take it all, Han Mang said in a low voice. There is one more person you need to pay attention to, and that is Lu Zhantian. He was recruited by the vice principal of the military department of the Divine College. Unfortunately, he rejected the offer. Now, he has left the Mu clan and joined the insane sect. He even has an army of 30,000 elites. This is a very strong force. What other information do you have? Share it with me. This old man is curious. Where did this insane sect come from? How did they eliminate the Gongyang prefecture? How did they subdue Lu Zhantian? The Shui clan head asked curiously. I do not know the details of the insane sect. I personally asked the Mu clan's mansion master, but he was unwilling to tell me. I could not force him. However, I did some research and found out that the sect master of the insane sect, Yi Qinghan, is an elemental priest of the 5 elements. He is invincible among his peers, and his battle strength is comparable to that of the 4th-year students of the Divine College. His wife is called Emperor Yi, and she has the heavenly soul godhead. She is also a zither master, and her battle strength is not inferior to that of Yi Qinghan. The two of them are telepathically connected, and their cooperation is seamless. They can kill a medium god priest. Also, they have the 7 demise serpent and a beautiful woman. According to my research, that woman is most likely Medusa, Han Mang reminded. Everyone sucked in a deep breath. With such a background, they could be considered as an established sect. If not for the fact that they had not chosen a side, the Divine College would have to think twice before attacking them. Also, don't underestimate the mansion master behind the insane sect. Someone said that he killed Gongyang Prefecture's mansion master in the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. That is all I know about the insane sect. If you want to attack, you have to tell me. I don't have any other requests, as long as you capture Yi Qinghan alive and hand him over to me. That shouldn't be too difficult, right? Han Mang glanced at everyone and asked in a deep voice. He was just an extreme lower realm expert, and the mansion master would not put him in their eyes. Even if Yi Qinghan was a medium god priest, he was still an ant in their eyes. The insane sect was still developing rapidly. Yi Qinghan began to purchase supreme treasures, secret arts, divine herbs, 5 elements divine herbs, and materials needed for the inner sect's experts to break through. The insane sect had no top experts, which was its biggest flaw. They could not rely on Grand Monarch Shura for everything. Sooner or later, he would leave the Middle Realm and return to the 9 Serenities. The insane sect had to have its own experts, and it could not have less than 2. The battle a few days ago had allowed the inner sect's experts to improve rapidly. With the addition of large amounts of divine crystals, godheads, and divine pills, almost all of them were extreme lower realm experts. Di Longtian had even relied on the power of the divine dragon to reach the complete lower realm, firmly suppressing the others. He could almost stand shoulder to shoulder with Yi Qinghan now. Out of the 3 million strong army, Lu Lan's blade had 1 million, the dragon cavalry had 600,000, and Zhuge Xianqing had developed a force of 1,400,000. Since the Gongyang prefecture was Zhuge Xuanqing's old territory, it was easy for him to develop an army. In addition to his prestige, almost all the immortal guards had joined his army. Zhuge Xuanqing's army was strict and could even be described as cruel. Ordinary soldiers were trained as the main force, and they were tempted with divine crystals, godheads, and official positions. The army's courage and potential were suppressed. In just 3 months, the army of more than 1 million had become very strong. Yi Qinghan provided Yao Ken with the 12th grade fire origin, and specially bought some divine herbs for Yao Ken. He hoped that Yao Ken could provide some top-notch 11th grade divine pills to help the inner sect's people break through to the complete lower realm. The crazy sect was developing rapidly, but it did not know that the dozens of forces around it were eyeing the territory of the crazy sect with red eyes. They were just waiting for an opportunity, an excuse to devour the crazy sect like hungry wolves and tigers. Chapter 606. After the 4th month in Crazy Manor's territory, all the major businesses were on the right track and began to make profits. Many alchemy sects opened up their sects and refined different kinds of divine medicine. There were high-quality ones and low-quality ones. The low-quality ones were mostly consumed by the sect's disciples, but the high-quality ones were all bought by the Crazy Manor at market price. With Yi Qinghan taking the lead, even the Divine Bird and the Little Golden Crow started to do business. They sold fire origins of all grades, and the price depended on the person. If they had money, they would buy as much as they could. If they didn't, they would scrape a layer of oil out of them. The 2 Divine Birds sold their divine fire all over the world. They claimed that as long as one could afford it, they could even buy a 13th grade divine fire. However, a 13th grade divine fire was priced at 2 superior god personas. Everyone knew that they couldn't get their hands on a 13th grade divine fire, which was why they raised the price so ridiculously. The Divine Bird's business grew bigger and bigger. In the end, it reached the territory of the Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom and was sold at a higher price. Especially the 12th grade divine fire, which was a rare commodity. In the entire Middle Plane, no one could get their hands on it except for the superior gods. The Divine Birds flew all the way, searching for treasures, selling divine fires, and buying rare treasures. In the end, they attracted the covetous eyes of the strong. They were trapped in a canyon by a group of people and imprisoned by a 4-sided array. Even the Little Golden Crow couldn't escape. However, they relied on their divine fire, and the strong fighters couldn't catch them. Yi Qinghan looked at the Divine Bird's distress signal and learned that it was bandits who had surrounded them. It wasn't worth the effort, and it wasn't suitable to send troops to the Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom. In the end, they had to ask the Dragon Nest to step in and rescue the 2 Divine Birds. After the Divine Bird returned to Crazy Manor's territory, it didn't go out to search for treasures anymore. It kept clamoring to deliver treasures to Yi Qinghan. It wanted Yi Qinghan to build a huge auction house and find the world's best auctioneers and appraisers to help. It would attract strong fighters from all over the world to search for treasures and sell them. This way, it wouldn't need to go out to search for treasures. It could just wait at the auction house. Yi Qinghan recalled what the Divine Bird had done in the auction house years ago. If the crazed sect really built an auction house, the Divine Bird would definitely steal it from them. When that time came, the crazed sect would be the one to suffer losses. After all, if they lost their treasures, they would have to pay 10 times the price. However, the Divine Bird's suggestion was a good one. If they wanted to come into contact with high-end treasures, they had to set up an auction house. Moreover, the appraiser had to be the strongest in the mythical realm. Only then would they be able to attract experts and adventurers to hand over their treasures to the Crazy Mansion auction house. Yi Qinghan asked Tai Qingxian and learned that the best appraisers in the mythical dimension were all in the auction houses set up by the 3 divine kingdoms. It was impossible to rope them in. What they needed, the Guangzhong could not afford it for the time being. Then we have to nurture our own appraisers. We have to publicize and create a reputation for appraisers. We have to create a Middle Plains #1 appraiser. Yi Qinghan lowered his head and muttered to himself. He was thinking about how to create a #1 appraiser. That's easy. Leave it to this Divine Bird. The #1 appraiser will be the Little Master. With me around, there is no treasure in this world that can escape my eyes, the Divine Bird said proudly. The Little Master's beauty is unparalleled in the world, and her temperament is unparalleled in both ancient and modern times. With this Divine Bird's help, people from all over the world will definitely flock to you. As the saying goes, gold and silver cups are not as good as their big mouths. As long as the Little Master appraises a top-grade divine treasure and forcefully crown the title of the #1 appraiser, all the appraisers in the world will definitely come to challenge you. Once the Little Master defeats them one by one, the title of the #1 appraiser in the world will be hers. The Divine Bird laughed slyly. Yi Qinghan thought about it carefully and felt that it was feasible. He began to promote it. The next day, a piece of news resounded through the world like a thunderclap. The Crazy Mansion has built the world's #1 auction house. The appraiser is the world's #1 beauty, the #1 zither expert, and Lord Emperor Yi is personally in charge. It is said that there is no treasure that cannot be appraised. In short, Emperor Yi was the world's #1 beauty, the world's #1 appraiser, and the world's #1 auction house. The Crazy Mansion praised Emperor Yi to the heavens, and the promotion was simply exaggerated. They even sold the image of Emperor Yi playing the zither. The image was free? How was that possible? No matter what, he was still a peerless beauty. A single carefree lament could intoxicate the world. Just this image and the song alone were worth 10,000 low-grade divine crystals. The Crazy Mansion sold a total of 10,000 images, which were divided equally among the 3 divine nations. Almost every major mansion had an image. 1 spread to 10, and 10 spread to 100. Emperor Ye's beauty and zither skills were indeed unparalleled in both ancient and modern times. There was no flattery at all. People couldn't help but wonder if Emperor Yi really had such ability. Then, the Crazy Mansion released another piece of news. Any customer whose treasure was auctioned for more than 1,000 high-grade divine crystals could listen to Emperor Yi play a complete carefree lament for free. They were attracting customers in all kinds of ways. Before the customers arrived, the Crazy Mansion auction house was built in the main city of the Crazy Mansion. It covered an area of tens of thousands of hectares and could accommodate hundreds of thousands of people at the same time. The auction house was divided into 4 areas: the treasure area, the VIP area, the elite area, and the ordinary area. It could accommodate all kinds of divine treasures in the world. The Crazy Mansion itself had attracted many building masters. They had been nurtured for a long time, and now they finally came in handy. In half a day, the auction house was designed. Then, the army was mobilized to start building the house. The auction house was built in just 3 days. On the 4th day, a huge 4-story auction house rose from the ground. Then, the Crazy Mansion began to recruit appraisers. From elite appraisers to divine appraisers, they were all recruited at a high price. The price offered was 10% higher than the other auction houses. They also offered free housing, various benefits, and other temptations. The appraisers of the various auction houses jumped ship one after another. The Crazy Mansion immediately attracted the hatred of the other auction houses. More and more people were jealous. The Crazy Mansion was too arrogant. Perhaps it was because they were developing without caring about the cost, or perhaps it was because the Crazy Mansion was rich and willful. They talked about benefits for everything. The more money you have, the better. There were all kinds of benefits that the other auction houses could not provide. The most important thing was that the Crazy Mansion's territory had good security. Those who used their power to oppress others were expelled from the Crazy Mansion's territory or killed on the spot. No sect dared to behave atrociously in the Crazy Mansion's territory. How could they be stronger than the Crazy Mansion? The youngest generation of the Crazy Mansion's inner sect was comparable to the experts of the older generation. They would kill anyone who attacked. The Crazy Mansion's territory was even built into a giant spirit-gathering formation, developing it into a holy land with beautiful scenery. It was a holy land for sightseeing, attracting the young people of various mansions and sections. A large number of rivers were excavated in the Crazy Mansion's territory. Ancient trees that were 10,000 years old were moved here. With Li Chang here, there were no dead ancient trees. Although the Crazy Mansion's territory was huge, there was no wasteland. Even a mountain range was used by the Crazy Mansion. Most of the territory was handed over to the sects that moved here to manage. They were deeply influenced by the Crazy Mansion and mainly focused on developing business. As long as there was business, they would do their best to attract business, such as high-grade hunting grounds, brothels. In less than half a year, the Crazy Mansion's territory attracted the direct descendants of the Mansion Lord to come here to sightsee. Even the princes of the 3 divine kingdoms had appeared quietly. Because of this, the Iron Battle Mercenary Group could not attack the Crazy Mansion. Otherwise, they would not be able to explain themselves if they hurt the sons of the Mansion Lords and the princes of the divine kingdoms. Chapter 607. Kuang Fu strongly promoted Emperor Yi, and the reputation of the #1 beauty appraiser spread like wildfire. Her name spread to more than a dozen mansions and sections. Even the mansions in the hinterlands of the 3 divine kingdoms heard about Emperor Yi. Yi Qinghan put in almost all of his effort to build Emperor Ye's reputation. He exaggerated as much as he could. 10 days later, Kuang Fu Auction House was officially established. It was announced that Kuang Fu Auction House would be divided into 4 levels: Divine Treasure, Absolute Treasure, Elite, and Normal. The Divine Artifact Auction would be held once a year. The Absolute Artifact Auction would be held once every half a year. The Elite Artifact Auction would be held once every 3 months, and as for the Normal Artifact Auction, it would be held once every half a month. This was Kuang Fu Auction House's promise. Kuang Fu Auction House also promised to compensate 100 times the original price for every fake item sold. Normal auction houses only promised to compensate 10 times the original price for fake items, but Kuang Fu Auction House dared to promise 100 times the original price. Soon, people came to Emperor Yi because of the auction house's reputation. There were also people who came to make things difficult for him. They brought out all kinds of strange items for Emperor Yi to appraise. In order to establish its prestige, the divine bird racked its brains and dug deep into its memories. It cooperated with Emperor Yi and described the treasures in detail. The prices and final valuations were absolutely perfect. Even the challengers could not be picky about the prices they set. They were neither too high nor too low, and the final valuations could be predicted to the extreme. Most of the challengers were appraisers. They were impressed by Emperor Ye's appraisal skills and wanted to join Kuang Fu Auction House on the spot. With a large number of appraisers of various levels joining Kuang Fu Auction House, Emperor Yi did not even have a chance to appraise low-level, substandard treasures. Only the real, top-level treasures would be handed to Emperor Yi. The divine bird's knowledge of treasures was beyond everyone's imagination. Even Yi Qinghan was surprised. Many of the items were the first time the divine bird saw them. Whether they were treasures or not, one could tell from its eyes. The more passionate its eyes were, the more expensive the treasure was. The calmer it was, the more it did not even want to look at them. More and more people came because of Kuang Fu Auction House's reputation. However, if they wanted to see Emperor Yi, they first had to bring out a treasure to be auctioned. Otherwise, they would not even qualify to enter the treasure area, let alone see Emperor Yi or hear a perfect zither song. Treasures that could enter the treasures area would be auctioned off for at least 100 high-grade divine crystals. Some treasures couldn't be exchanged for mid-grade divine crystals, no matter how many mid-grade divine crystals there were. Half-step gods didn't need mid-grade divine crystals at all. The auction house's appraisal fee was 0.5%. 10 million mid-grade treasures would cost 500,000 mid-grade treasures. Kuang Fu Auction House's appraisal fee was 0.5%. This was Kuang Fu Auction House's advantage. Their commission was 10% lower than other auction houses. With Kuang Fu Auction House's guarantee, more and more people were willing to submit their treasures to Kuang Fu Auction House. This caused many auction houses to lose more than 30% of their customers. The Mu Manor's Celestial Gold Auction House, the Army-Shattering Manor's Supreme Auction House, and even the top 10 auction houses in the Myth Middle Plain were all affected by Kuang Fu Auction House. Finally, the nearby auction houses were enraged. They sent out some top-level appraisers to compete with Emperor Yi. They hoped to take down Emperor Ye's arrogance. The Celestial Gold Auction House's chief auctioneer and appraiser, Mr. Xing, personally arrived at Kuang Fu Auction House under the protection of a mid-level gods. His appearance attracted everyone's attention. Why is Master Xing here? Is he here to join Kuang Fu Auction House? Maybe he's here with bad intentions. Master Xing is the strongest auctioneer in the nearby auction houses. Emperor Yi is known as the #1 appraiser in the world. It's normal for him to be unconvinced. Many people frequented the auction houses. Some were there to buy treasures, while others were there to sell treasures. It was normal for them to recognize Mr. Xing. Moreover, Mr. Xing looked like an immortal. He was very distinguishable. Yi Qinghan stood at the top of the treasure area and looked down at Mr. Xing. He knew that Mr. Xing was here to provoke him, but he smiled happily. If Emperor Yi wanted to be known as the #1 appraiser, he couldn't rely on others to provoke him. He had to defeat some famous appraisers, such as this Mr. Xing, or the chief auctioneer of the top 10 auction houses. In short, the stronger the opponent, the more famous Emperor Yi would be. Yi Qinghan led Emperor Yi to the treasure area and arrived at the normal area. If they wanted to advertise, they had to accept the challenge in a crowded area. They didn't have to advertise themselves. The divine bird crouched on Ren Huangye's shoulder without uttering a single word. Ren Huangye held a cloud beast in his hand. He looked like a little girl who kept a pet and attracted the affection of many people. Ren Huangye had an extraordinary temperament, so it was difficult for the crowd to have any ill feelings towards him. From their words, it seemed that they hoped that Ren Huangye would win. As the chief appraiser, Mr. Xing didn't look at Emperor Yi first. Instead, he looked at the cloud beast and the spirit-devouring divine parrot on Emperor Yi's shoulder. The cloud beast and the spirit-devouring divine parrot were both extremely precious divine beasts. They might not be as strong as divine dragons or divine emperors, but they were even rarer. It had been many years since a spirit-devouring divine parrot had been seen in the Middle Realm. Fairy, you are so lucky. No wonder you dare to call yourself the #1 appraiser in the world. You have the help of the spirit-devouring divine parrot, Xing Lai said calmly. Why do you say that, Master Xing? Can't I have a spirit pet? Emperor Yi frowned. He had a bad feeling when he saw Xing Lai's aura. Of course you can. I admire Fairy's luck. You were able to gain the recognition of the spirit-devouring divine parrot. With it around, I have lost. Xing Lai said frankly. However, what he meant was that he had lost to the spirit-devouring divine parrot and not to the so-called #1 appraiser in the world, Emperor Yi. He also didn't acknowledge Emperor Yi's identity. You eccentric old man. If you admit that you are no match for me, then just admit defeat. Don't push all the blame onto this divine bird. Am I that powerful? Am I so powerful that you will piss your pants when you see me and admit defeat? The divine bird's words were even more eccentric as it mocked him coldly. Despicable bird, don't talk nonsense. If you dare to insult Mr. Xing again, I will kill you. Xing Lai's bodyguard, the middle-level almighty priest, immediately unleashed his aura. He pressed down on Emperor Yi and the divine bird on his shoulder. Humph, how arrogant of you. With a cold snort, he emitted a ruthless, murderous aura. The murderous aura almost condensed into a solid form as it pressed down on the extreme medium Dao divine priest. The guard instantly felt a splitting headache, and he was almost scared out of his wits. He directly collapsed to the ground, his face pale as he looked at the treasure area in horror. The others weren't affected, but they couldn't help but be shocked when they saw a middle-level almighty being so frightened by a cold snort. Fellow Taoist, don't throw a tantrum in my crazy manor auction house. This is just a warning. If you do it again, you won't get a second chance. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Grand Monarch Shura didn't even need to show himself to control the auction house. Everything had to be done according to his will. Anyone who dared to cause trouble in the auction house would have to be prepared to die. Killing one as a warning to the rest, this mid-level extreme Dao mighty figure had become the best target to establish his might. Xing Lai finally understood that Crazy Manor wasn't as simple as he thought. He looked up at the treasure area, but he couldn't sense anyone there. However, it was obvious that the cold snort had come from above. We were rude. Please don't blame us, fellow Taoist Yi. Xing Lai said to Yi Qinghan, neither servile nor overbearing. Since Emperor Yi claims to be the best appraiser in the world, can you help me appraise a treasure? This treasure's origin is unknown, and I still don't know what it is. As long as Fairy Emperor Yi can appraise this treasure's origin and value, I will publicly announce that Fairy Emperor Yi is the best appraiser. Chapter 608. Xing Lai's firm attitude made it clear that the divine treasure in his hand was something that would only be seen once in a million years. It might even be something that had never been seen before. For an appraiser to be unable to understand something after so many years, it must be extremely rare. A stone about the size of a goose egg appeared in Xing Lai's hand. It radiated a gentle light that contained divine might. The stone looked transparent, but its interior was filled with chaos, making it impossible to see through or understand. Everyone could tell that it was a treasure at first glance, but no one knew its origin. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed, and the mysteries of chaos in his heart throbbed wildly, as if it wanted to merge with this stone. What a treasure! The divine bird exclaimed, but the crest on its head opened wide. When it couldn't understand what it was, the crest would open up. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi knew this the best. I came across this divine stone by chance, and it's the only one of its kind. I know it's a treasure, but I can't use it, nor do I know how to value it. I went to the top 10 auction houses, but no one could give me a satisfactory price, so I've been keeping it with me. As long as Miss Emperor Yi can tell me its origin and value, not only will I acknowledge Fairy Emperor Yi as the #1 appraiser, but I'll also give this divine stone to you. Xinglai said seriously. Are you serious? Emperor Yi was surprised. Xinglai was too confident. Or did he really not care about this divine stone? I'm serious. I don't know what this divine item is, and I can't use it, so I don't deserve to have it. This divine item is only worthy of those who understand it. As long as you can tell me its origin and value, I'll give it to you. Xinglai said. At this moment, even Grand Monarch Shura was attracted. He looked at the divine stone in Xinglai's hand and tried to forcibly draw its energy, but he couldn't. The divine stone was covered in chaos runes that imprisoned its energy. Even with Grand Monarch Shura's strength, he couldn't shake the runes. What the hell is this? Grand Monarch Shura frowned. He couldn't tell what this thing was or what it was worth. Emperor Yi reached out his hand and took the divine stone. He used his heaven soul as one and sent a strand of his consciousness into the divine stone through the mystical origin of heaven and earth. Just as he was about to enter the depths of the divine stone, the chaotic patterns on the divine stone actually repelled the mystical origin of heaven and earth 1,000 miles away. The more Emperor Yi tried to force his way into the god stone, the brighter the runes on the god stone became. It was incomparably majestic, as if it could destroy the heavens and earth once it exploded. Fellow Taoist, can you give me 2 hours to study it? Emperor Yi stared at Xinglai and asked in a crisp voice. No problem. Xinglai nodded without hesitation. It was only 2 hours. So many years had passed. Why would he care about this little bit of time? Please. Yi Qinghan gestured for him to go upstairs to the treasure area. Grand Monarch Shura glanced at the guard indifferently. The guard was so scared that he lowered his head and didn't dare to say a word. He obediently followed behind Xinglai. The group went up to the treasure area together. On the 4th floor. Just as the people downstairs thought that Emperor Yi would be stumped, a soul-stirring zither tune sounded from the 4th floor. It was so intoxicating. Emperor Yi used the zither tune to fuse with the mystical origin of the heavenly Tao and slowly fused with the runes on the divine stone. As long as it was energy, it could intertwine and fuse. No energy could stop Emperor Yi, who was one with the heavens. The zither tune silenced heaven and earth. Time and space stopped moving, and all living things stopped moving. The enormous Kuang Fu auction house was so quiet that even the sound of breathing could be heard clearly. Yi Qinghan's and Emperor Ye's consciousness intertwined and exerted their power together. Yi Qinghan's consciousness swept up the profound mysteries of the origin of chaos and approached the divine stone, Wen Yao. He only wanted to merge with it and not force his way in. Slowly, Wen Yao took the initiative to merge with Yi Qinghan's profound mysteries of the origin of chaos. They intertwined and trapped the energy within the divine stone. As soon as Yi Qinghan's divine stone fused with the runes, a large amount of knowledge about the divine stone involuntarily appeared in his sea of consciousness. The primal chaos origin was the origin of the energy of heaven and earth. Its power was endless. Yi Qinghan read the introduction about the primal chaos origin and couldn't help but be shocked. This thing wasn't just a treasure. It was a legendary primal chaos artifact. Perhaps only legendary existences like the second sorcerer god could use it. This small piece of primal chaos origin actually contained the power to destroy a middle plane. No one below the chief god level could use it. Perhaps even the 9 remoteness master couldn't use the power of the primal chaos origin. Once the power of the primal chaos origin exploded, it was enough to destroy a superior god. Yi Qinghan looked at the vast energy rolling in the depths of the divine stone. It was endless. It was as if the internal space was a vast universe. At the beginning of primal chaos, nothing existed. There was only the purest energy. The two of them worked together and tried to release some of the energy. Even if it was just a trace, it was enough to kill a superior god. Yi Qinghan continued to work hard and tried to understand the runes. He wanted to be able to control the divine stone alone and turn it into the core of the berserk saber. As long as he could control the primal chaos origin, it would be equivalent to having countless godhoods. With Renhuang Ye's guidance and cooperation, the brilliance of the godly source's mysterious patterns gradually became clearer. Yi Qinghan was able to derive a sliver of power by himself. However, he would not be able to control any more than that. Give me some time, and I'll be able to control this primal chaos origin. Yi Qinghan was very confident. He retreated from the primal chaos origin with Emperor Yi. Huang Yi stopped playing her guqin. Her face was somewhat pale. This seemingly simple action had actually wasted a large amount of her spiritual energy. Mr. Xing, this item is the primal chaos origin, the origin of the primal chaos energy. Its value is immeasurable, so I can't give you a price. Emperor Ye's tired appearance was heartbreaking. Even his voice had changed. Yi Qinghan gestured for Emperor Yi to return to his room to rest. He faced Xing Lai alone. Xing Lai's body trembled. He looked at the primal chaos origin in Yi Qinghan's hands in disbelief. He wasn't sure if Emperor Yi was telling the truth. Mr. Xing, to prove that my son is telling the truth, I can demonstrate how to use the primal chaos origin. Yi Qinghan said confidently. What? You can use the energy inside the primal chaos origin? Xing Lai didn't believe it. He had studied the primal chaos origin for so many years, and he was a mid-level god. Even now, he still couldn't use the energy inside. Yi Qinghan had only touched the primal chaos origin for an hour. I can only use a little. However, it's enough for you to understand the true value of the primal chaos origin. Yi Qinghan nodded. All right. As long as Taoist Yi can use this so-called primal chaos origin, this divine stone will be yours. I won't say anything. Xing Lai said in a low voice. Let's leave the city. Yi Qinghan summoned Crazed Heart and condensed its core slot again. It was just enough to fill the primal chaos origin. He inserted the primal chaos origin into the core slot and took the lead. They went straight out of Crazed Manor's territory. South Mountain Pass, 1,500 kilometers northeast. This was a barren land that the three divine nations didn't care about. There were all sorts of forces here, and all sorts of people were active here. This was because the Liaodong mountain range, the most complicated mountain range in the Middle Plain. Ferocious divine beasts ran rampant here, and poisonous miasma filled the air. The underground was rich in resources, but they couldn't extract them. Yi Qinghan and Grand Monarch Azura led Xing Lai and the guard out of the city and descended here. How about we take this fellow Taoist as our opponent? Yi Qinghan asked. Xing Lai nodded. He could trust his own people, so he didn't need to worry about him cooperating with Yi Qinghan. He said, Old Luo, don't hurt Taoist Yi. Just defend. Yi Qinghan gripped his saber with both hands. A wisp of divine sense covered the primal chaos origin, and a seemingly powerless saber slashed down from the sky above the extreme Dao expert. The guard, Old Luo, only used a tenth of his strength to block the attack. The two forces exploded, shattering a mountain range. Yi Qinghan didn't attack again. Instead, he asked, Sir, how many attacks do you think I can make before I run out of energy with this kind of strength? Old Luo thought for a moment, then said in a low voice, Manor Lord Yi has the 5 elements divine body and 5 godhoods. Each godhood can support 300 attacks, so 5 godhoods are equivalent to 1,500 attacks. Coupled with Taoist Ye's unparalleled physical strength, you should be able to make 2,000 attacks. You'll be unstoppable on the battlefield. Then, sir, take 2,000 of my attacks. Let's see how much divine power I have left. Yi Qinghan crossed his legs and clenched his fists again. His aura erupted as he shouted. The heavenly astral 108 heavenly slashes transformed into countless saber flashes that tore through space. Swish, 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 swish. 1 slash, 2 slashes, 100 slashes, 200 slashes, 500 slashes. Yi Qinghan didn't seem to know fatigue. Every slash used the same amount of strength, sweeping through mountains and rivers, shaking the heavens and the earth. Old Luo felt that he could defend in the beginning, but later on, he actually used a third of his divine power. However, Yi Qinghan didn't seem to use any divine power at all. Every slash was stronger and fiercer than the last. Old Luo was forced to retreat, and his hands were shattered. Boom, 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 swish, swish, swish. Yi Qinghan was still brandishing his saber and slashing at Old Luo. Xing Lai was dumbfounded. He had already delivered 1,000 slashes. Such saber arts and strength were enough to exhaust 2 lesser great perfection sovereigns. However, Yi Qinghan didn't show any signs of exhaustion. His strength even showed signs of rising. 1,500 slashes. Yi Qinghan's speed increased as Old Luo was sent flying. If he didn't attack, he wouldn't be able to continue defending. 1,700 slashes, 800 slashes, boom. Old Luo was sent flying once again. The bones in his arms were shattered. He didn't even have the will to attack. Xing Lai was alarmed as he hurriedly stopped Yi Qinghan's attacks. Yi Qinghan sheathed his saber and stood there. He summoned his godheads. Every godhead was filled with divine power. He didn't expend any of it. What I used just now was the power of the primal chaos divinity source. This is where the value of the primal chaos divinity source lies. As long as my opponent doesn't kill me, my power is limitless. Yi Qinghan said calmly. How much power can you unleash in one go? How much power can you borrow from the primal chaos divinity source? Is this the most? Xing Lai asked in shock. Sorry, but this is my secret. I hope you two can help me keep it a secret, Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Once the primal chaos divinity source was discovered, the primal chaos divinity source would definitely come to snatch it. If he didn't hand it over, the consequences would be obvious. Why don't I kill them? Grand Monarch Shura suddenly asked. Even he was tempted by such a supreme treasure. If news of it leaked out, Yi Qinghan would probably have to return to the 9 hells. Hiss, Old Luo and Xing Lai gasped. Old Luo's divine power was almost exhausted. Grand Monarch Shura could kill them with a single slap. Mansion Lord Yi, we're willing to join the crazy mansion auction house. We'll never betray you, Xing Lai said without hesitation. At this moment, Yi Qinghan could kill them at any time. Only by surrendering could they save their lives. Chapter 609. Xing Lai had already made up his mind before coming here. If Emperor Yi could really appraise such a divine item, it meant that he had surpassed all the appraisers in the Middle Plane. It wouldn't be an exaggeration for him to become the #1 appraiser. Then, Kuang Fu Auction House would definitely become the #1 auction house in the future. Staying in Kuang Fu Auction House would definitely be a good choice. But now, he was so frightened by Great Sovereign Shura's words that he didn't even dare to raise any conditions. Yi Qinghan smiled, agreeing to Xing Lai's request. He said indifferently, right now, only the 2 of you know the use of the primal chaos divine source. If word of this gets out, don't blame me for coming after you personally. Old Luo was scared stiff by Yi Qinghan's battle prowess, especially with the primal chaos divine source supporting Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan was an existence that never knew fatigue. As long as he set his eyes on you, you wouldn't be able to escape even if you fled to the ends of the earth. I wouldn't dare. Old Luo bowed slightly, not daring to say anything else. Xing Lai was a person with a bottom line. Before coming here, he had already resigned from his position as the chief appraiser of Mu Clan's auction house. He was staking everything on this one throw. Since he had already surrendered, he wouldn't betray Yi Qinghan. The 4 of them flew to the Southern Mountain Pass. As soon as they entered the Southern Mountain Pass, they entered Kuang Fu Auction House's territory. Even a small border town was extremely prosperous. There were no wars or conflicts. It was very peaceful. When everyone saw Yi Qinghan, they all bowed respectfully. Yi Qinghan didn't put on any airs. Even if it was an ordinary child, he would still smile and bow back. In Guangfu Auction House, the hearts of the people were united. The various sects and factions seemed like scattered sand, but when Guangfu Auction House was in trouble, these disorderly factions would definitely unite. Those who won the hearts of the people ruled the world. If Guangfu Auction House didn't have the hearts of the people, it would be like the Mu clan. Once it was attacked, the various factions would only surrender and betray it. It was only a matter of time before they fell. However, Guangfu Auction House's territory was different. Guangfu Auction House gave them a sense of belonging. Whoever dared to attack Guangfu Auction House would be attacking their home. Yi Qinghan's mind as he looked at Guangfu Auction House's mind. Xinglai also felt very comfortable watching this. He felt that submitting to Yi Qinghan wasn't a bad thing. The guard of the Southern Mountain Pass was Roger. When he heard that Yi Qinghan had arrived, he was about to personally welcome him when he saw the chaos in the Southern Mountain Pass. He couldn't help but frown. This was the first time he had seen such a situation. He quickly led a small team and rushed over. Scram. I am a member of the Iron Battle Mercenary Group. Even the prefecture's official army wouldn't dare to make things difficult for us. How dare a ragtag army like you meddle in our business? Are you courting death? A burly man led 7 to 8 men and beat a group of 10 guards out of the restaurant. He was even dragging the restaurant's owner with him. There were also a few other men surrounding 2 beautiful ladies. However, the 2 ladies' faces were pale and helpless. They had been badly frightened. This is the Crazy Manor's territory. How dare you cause trouble here? Are you tired of living? The captain scolded angrily. The ordinary guards of the Southern Mountain Pass were only emperor-level experts. They were only responsible for patrolling the city and weren't of much use. They were no match for the Iron Battle Mercenary Group. The 10 guards were kicked out of the restaurant. The captain's face was red with 5 finger marks. How dare you bully girls? What kind of heroes are you? This is my restaurant. I won't allow you to behave so atrociously. The owner was an old man who looked to be in his 60s or 70s. At this moment, he was facing 7 or 8 Iron Battle Mercenary Group's priests without batting an eyelid. This was the Crazy Manor's territory. The Crazy Manor would naturally support him. How dare a puny emperor speak to this god like this? Pa-pa. A few consecutive slaps were heard. The crisp sound traveled far and wide. More and more people gathered around. When they saw the owner and guards being beaten, they all glared at the Iron Battle Mercenary Group. Some priests even came over to reprimand the mercenaries for letting go of the old man and the girl. If you still want to mingle outside in the future, mind your own business. The Southern Mountain Pass is also the territory of the Iron Battle Mercenary Group. A few mercenaries said arrogantly and disdainfully, "Is that so? This is the first time I've heard that the Southern Mountain Pass is your territory." Roger appeared outside the restaurant with a 100-man team and directly surrounded the mercenaries. When he saw the old man and his guards being beaten, he couldn't help but emit a murderous aura. "Commander Roger, I am the captain of the Iron Battle Mercenary Group's 4th Corps' 27th Battalion, Qin Zihao. Today, I brought my brothers to carry out a mission and passed by this place to have a drink. However, this old bastard actually dared to sell me fake drunken god wine. These 2 waiters' attitudes were even worse. When I taught them a lesson, your subordinates actually wanted to arrest us without distinguishing between right and wrong. What do you take the Iron Battle Mercenary Group for? As the superintendent of the Southern Mountain Pass, you must give me an explanation." The captain of the mercenary team complained coldly. "Qin Zihao?" Roger disdained. "What Iron Battle Mercenary Group? In the Crazy Manor's territory, even the princes and masters of the manor had to stand obediently. Sir Superintendent, you have to uphold justice for me. I'm selling the authentic drunken god wine, but how could the goods in your hands be fake wine? This group of people took liberties with my 2 obedient granddaughters. That's why I had a conflict with them," the old man hurriedly explained. Roger stared at the handprint on the old man's face and his murderous intent intensified. As the supervisor of the Southern Mountain Fortress, not only was he responsible for the safety of the place, he was also involved with every merchant here. The Southern Mountain Fortress army knew how to do business too. They sold some wine to earn some money. Yi Qinghan had given them permission to do so, so he knew every merchant here. Do the 8 of you want me to make a move, or do you want to break into the Southern Mountain Pass? Roger asked indifferently. So what if we break through? Qin Zihao said proudly. He did not believe that the superintendent of the Southern Mountain Pass would dare to offend the Iron Battle Mercenary Group. If you want to break through, I will let you die under the arrows. If you want me to make a move, you will die under the blades of my army. I, Roger, am a man of my word. Roger's aura rose as he waved his hand. More than 100 personal guards behind him immediately surrounded him. More than 100 priests moved in unison. Their spears pierced through the air with a terrifying aura, directly suppressing the 7 ordinary mercenaries. Chen Zihao wanted to make a move, but he was suppressed by the army led by Roger. The ground cracked, and the people outside were all scared away. Roger, if you dare to make a move against me, it's the same as declaring war against the Iron Battle Mercenary Group. Chen Zihao threatened. So be it. You dare to behave atrociously in the Southern Mountain Pass? Why don't you take a piss and take a look at your own territory? Roger said with disdain. He took the 2 girls out from the army and ordered the army to suppress the mercenaries' godheads. He coldly said, drag them out and burn them to death. What you dare? Qin Zihao jumped in fright. Who would dare to kill the Iron Battle Mercenary Group's people? Would the Mu clan dare? Absolutely not. But Kuang Zong dared. The Lord of the Southern Mountain Pass dared. Quickly drag them out and burn them to death. Remember to take out the godheads, don't waste them. Roger impatiently said. Roger. The army dragged the 8 mercenaries out of the city and forcefully took out the godheads. They burned Qin Zihao and the others alive outside the city. Roger's purpose was not only to intimidate the outsiders, but also to calm the hearts of the merchants. As long as they were doing business in the Southern Mountain Pass, they would not be afraid of being bullied. Even the heavens would die if they dared to bully the people of the Southern Mountain Pass, let alone the people of the Iron Battle Mercenary Group. Old Mister, consider this lesser deity's godhead as compensation. You have been frightened today. You must accept it. Roger generously handed over a lesser deity's godhead to the old man. His attitude was firm. The old man had no choice but to accept it. The old man was shocked. He received a godhead just by taking a few slaps. These slaps were too worth it. One must know that he had worked hard for his entire life just for a godhead. The Southern Mountain Pass immediately boiled over. With such a lord protecting them, why would they be afraid of being bullied? The people's hearts were united. Everyone cheered loudly for the might of the Kuang clan. Roger's unintentional actions caused a shocking incident in the Southern Mountain Pass. The impact was so great that the war affected several major clans. Yi Qinghan had just passed by the Southern Mountain Pass when he saw the hubbub of voices. It seemed to be very lively. He couldn't help but lead the way. When he passed by the city gate, he felt the hot fire element restless. There was also a pile of ashes outside the city. He couldn't help but frown. What's going on? How can you kill people so casually? Yi Qinghan looked at the guards and asked in a low voice. The Kuang clan was particular about peace and prosperity. Moreover, they were still in the development phase. It was not the right time to start a war. When Roger learned that Yi Qinghan was already outside the city, he hurriedly led his personal guards over and explained the situation in detail. He also explained the need to punish the mercenaries. Yi Qinghan nodded and said, "If you dare to kill people like this, then just kill them. Don't feel guilty. If the Iron Battle Mercenary Group dares to hold them accountable, just tell Iron Battle to come to me." With Yi Qinghan backing him up, Roger's back immediately stiffened. The news of the Kuang clan's Southern Mountain Pass superintendent killing 8 members of the Iron Battle Mercenary Group spread like wildfire. The Iron Battle Mercenary Group reacted strongly. There wasn't even the most basic communication. Iron Battle personally led an army of over 1 million soldiers outside the southern mountain pass and demanded that Roger commit suicide as an apology. Otherwise, they would start a war. The incident in the southern mountain pass immediately alerted the nearby Big Manners. A few powerful factions supported the Iron Battle mercenary group and sent troops to the southern mountain pass. A war was about to break out. However, the army-shattering Manor and the Mu Manor, which were closest to the Quang clan, didn't say anything. They didn't help the mercenary group or the Quang clan. They just watched quietly. The people who helped the Iron Battle mercenary group were the people that Han Yuan had asked for. They had been planning this war for a long time, but they didn't have an excuse. Now that the mercenaries had been burned alive, Iron Battle didn't ask for a reason. He only wanted Roger to commit suicide as an apology. When Yi Qinghan found out, he personally led 300,000 dragon riders to the southern mountains pass. He stood on the southern mountains pass walls, his cold eyes emitting a terrifying intent as he coldly said, "Have your commander, Taizhan, come out and speak. This old man is Yi Qinghan. I will only give you the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn. Either you kill Roger and his 100 soldiers yourself, or you hand them over to me. This is my bottom line. If you don't agree, don't blame this old man for not giving you face." Iron Battle replied coldly while standing on a ferocious beast. Strike at the heart? If Yi Qinghan handed Roger over, who would dare to join the Quang clan in the future? Do you think that's possible? Idiot. Only I can deal with my soldiers. Who do you think you are? How dare you ask me for my men? Yi Qinghan said indifferently. Chapter 610. Yi Qinghan wasn't polite at all. The Iron Battle mercenary group was obviously here for the crazed manor, so it was better to be firm than to say nice things. Taizhan didn't expect Yi Qinghan to suddenly say such a thing. This wasn't normal at all. Arrogant to the extreme. How dare you speak to me like this and indulge your subordinate like this? You're looking down on everyone in the world. Taizhan's aura rose as he stared at Shura, who was beside Yi Qinghan. He was waiting for Lai Sek's sect master to arrive so that the two of them could join forces to take down the crazed manor. You're the one indulging your subordinate, Taizhan. If you want to fight, there's no need to find such a despicable excuse. Just declare war, and my crazed manor will accept it. You can declare war, but my crazed manor will decide whether to stop or not. Yi Qinghan replied coldly. What arrogance! If you don't hand Roger over to me today, then there's no need for the crazed manor to exist. Taizhan said domineeringly. In that case, let's start the war. Fire. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The 300,000 soldiers of the southern mountain pass were already ready. The archers fired thousands of arrows, each of which was covered in the 7 deadly poisons, covering the sky and earth. Taizhan was shocked. He thought that Yi Qinghan would beg for mercy and quibble to stall for time. He didn't expect him to attack first. The mercenary group wasn't prepared, so they suffered heavy losses. Thousands of people were killed as soon as the battle started. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Another wave of arrows rained down, but this time, the mercenary group was prepared. They set up a barrier formation to block the arrows. Yi Qinghan rose into the sky, holding his saber with both hands. He slashed at the formation with the 12th grade fire origin. Taizhan, right? Come and fight with me. Otherwise, don't blame me for attacking your mercenary group. Shura roared, shaking the mountains and rivers. Boom boom boom. Yi Qinghan seemed to have gone crazy. He slashed out more than 100 times in an instant, causing the ground to crack. The army resisted with all their might, and many emperor-level mercenaries were killed. Taizhan followed Shura out. The mercenary group's vice leaders looked at each other and rushed toward Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's saber slashed apart the space-time order, causing the barrier to tremble. Open. Yi Qinghan was incomparably domineering. His divine power poured out in torrents as he single-handedly fought against 1,000,000 mercenaries. Divine splendor illuminated the heavens. The might of the berserk, the world revered it. With the primal chaos divine source, Yi Qinghan could attack regardless of the cost. This saber strike forced the Iron Battle mercenary group to defend with all their might. There was no way they could complete their attack preparations. Even the vice-captain had no choice but to defend himself. Boom, boom. Yi Qinghan slashed out another 100 times, shaking the Southern Mountains fortress to the point of shattering the heavens and shattering the earth. Rocks and boulders flew in all directions. The heroes watched on with their hearts trembling in fear. They had never seen such a crazy mannerhead before. He was able to force 1,000,000 mercenaries into submission with his strength alone. 500 slashes, 1,000 slashes. The mercenaries held on for dear life as they sneered at Yi Qinghan in the sky. This reckless bastard. When your divine power runs out, the insane manner will lose without a fight. The mercenaries even hoped that Yi Qinghan would continue attacking. They hoped that Yi Qinghan would run out of divine power and be captured alive. Then, the insane manor's territory would belong to the Iron Battle mercenary group. After 2,000 slashes, Yi Qinghan looked at the mercenaries like a tortoise shell. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break through. He couldn't help but frown. The mercenaries thought that Yi Qinghan didn't have much divine power left. They were about to give up on the defensive barrier and attack the Southern Mountains fortress. However, they didn't expect Yi Qinghan's aura to continue rising. It was as if he had merged with the heavens and earth, turning into a divine saber that could tear apart the universe. The divine saber combined and the 10-direction seal appeared in Yi Qinghan's hand. Yi Qinghan's deep voice reverberated. The divine saber whistled and broke through the shackles. The 10-direction seal in his hand suddenly enlarged and covered the sky. The universe is in 10 directions. When the 10-direction seal appears, the great Tao will collapse, the order will be established, yin and yang will be reversed, and I will be mad. Suppress. Yi Qinghan leaped into the sky. The divine saber shone brightly, illuminating the 9 heavens. The origin of chaos erupted with a monstrous power that seemed to want to destroy the universe. At this moment, the power poured into the 10-direction seal. Yi Qinghan was actually using the superior divine weapon. Boom, boom, boom. The Southern Mountains fortress almost collapsed. The mighty divine aura suppressed all living things. The 1,000,000 mercenaries were terrified. They felt as helpless as if they were facing a superior god. They didn't dare to resist. But, no, what is this? Even the vice-captain was terrified. He looked up at the 10-direction seal descending from the sky. It was as if he would be suppressed even if he ran to the ends of the earth. The will of a superior god was not to be resisted. Everyone go all out. Block this attack. If you don't block it, you will die. Only by blocking it can we live. The mercenaries were in chaos, especially the ordinary mercenaries. Tens of thousands of them were scared to death. Only those above the level of a superior god unleashed all their power and blocked the sky. They hoped to use the power of hundreds of thousands of priests to reverse yin and yang and break the order of the 10-direction seal. Boom! The 10-direction seal descended and smashed directly above the mercenaries. The Southern Mountains fortress almost collapsed, and the shockwaves spread for 1,000 miles. If it weren't for the defense of the Southern Mountains fortress, the fortress would have been destroyed by the shockwaves. My lord is mighty! Cheers came from the Southern Mountains fortress. Boom! Hundreds of thousands of priests were forced to kneel on the ground. Their kneecaps were shattered and sunk into the ground. Hundreds of thousands of people coughed up blood at the same time. The ordinary mercenaries were killed by the shockwaves of the 10-direction seal. Many experts who were watching from the sidelines coughed up blood and were sent flying. Their divine bodies were torn apart by the shockwaves, and their godheads were almost shattered. The miserable cries of the Iron Battle mercenaries were heard everywhere. They thought that the insane sect would be suppressed, but they didn't expect that the appearance of the insane sect would be enough to defeat the mercenaries. Suppress! The 10-direction seal became restless again and broke through the desperate struggle of hundreds of thousands of mercenaries. Countless mercenaries were suppressed and died tragically on the spot. Their corpses were smashed into the ground. A huge crater appeared in front of the Southern Mountains fortress. It was so deep that the bottom couldn't be seen. Hundreds of thousands of mercenaries were left in an instant. The three vice-captains escaped with their lives. Their faces were pale as they stood in place, trembling in fear. They looked at Yi Qinghan as if they were looking at a superior god. How is this possible? How can a lesser perfected god use such a powerful divine weapon? No one could understand. If it weren't for the divine weapon, Yi Qinghan wouldn't even be able to break through the Iron Battle mercenaries' defenses. But with the 10-direction seal, he killed hundreds of thousands of mercenaries in an instant. The Iron Battle mercenaries, known as one of the top 10 mercenaries in the Middle Realm, was destroyed in an instant. No! Taizhan went berserk. He was proud of his mercenary regiment and believed that his 1 million mercenaries would be able to withstand the attack of a powerful mannerhead. However, he didn't expect that they wouldn't be able to withstand a single attack from Yi Qinghan. Taizhan was indeed worthy of being the captain of one of the top 10 mercenaries. His battle prowess was extraordinary, and his battle intent was much stronger than Mansion Master Gong Yang's. Yi Qinghan, I want you dead! Taizhan roared. He couldn't wait to kill Grand Monarch Shura and torture Yi Qinghan to death. Brat, you'll be lucky if you can defeat me, Grand Monarch Shura said disdainfully. If it weren't for the great Tao of heaven and earth suppressing 99% of his battle prowess, he could crush Taizhan instantly. Although he couldn't kill Taizhan, he could still suppress him. The purest mystery of heaven and earth appeared in Grand Monarch Shura's hand. The Shura warblade instantly cut through space and time, and order was under his will. Swish, 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 the great Tao of Saber connected with the great Tao of heaven and earth, and it was unstoppable. Bang! The giant halberd in Taizhan's hand couldn't stop Grand Monarch Shura's Shura warblade. The giant halberd was full of cracks, and it looked like it would break at any moment. Taizhan kept retreating, and Grand Monarch Shura kicked him in the chest. Boom! Taizhan was kicked away. He had come with great momentum, but he was defeated too quickly. It was completely unacceptable. Shura disdainfully smashed space and time with the Shura warblade in his hand. He wanted to kill Taizhan with one strike. Space and time kept collapsing. Taizhan was terrified. He wanted to dodge, but he felt that the blade had locked onto him. No matter how he dodged, he couldn't escape death. This is impossible. You're not. Taizhan seemed to have guessed that Shura wasn't from the great Tao of heaven and earth, but he didn't have the chance to continue. The Shura warblade was already in front of him. Just when everyone thought that Taizhan was going to die, a fiery sword tore through space and time and slashed at Grand Monarch Shura's back as fast as lightning. Grand Monarch Shura frowned and gave up on killing Taizhan. He tore through space and time and left, appearing beside Yi Qinghan. Another prefecture master-level existence had arrived. It was Lai Zhongtian, the sect master of the Lai sect. He was known as the Fire Sword God and had reached the peak of swordsmanship. He was a famous mansion master. Lai Zhongtian was wearing a fiery golden robe. He held a fiery sword in his hand and a fiery belt around his waist. His eyes seemed to spit fire and steal people's souls. The Snow Clan's patriarch, dressed in white and holding a 5-foot-long Lingxiao sword, appeared in front of Taizhan. The three mansion masters had led their armies to the southern mountain pass and looked down at them. Yi Qinghan frowned. He didn't know these people at all. He hadn't even heard of them, let alone hated them. Are you also here to fight against the crazy sect? Yi Qinghan asked in a deep voice. Taizhan got up and said angrily, Friends, please help me. I only want revenge. I don't want any of the crazy sect's benefits. The Snow Clan's patriarch and Lai Zhongtian weren't stupid. Taizhan was no match for Grand Monarch Shura, and Yi Qinghan had killed hundreds of thousands of mercenaries. Their peak combat power surpassed that of an ordinary mansion master. It wouldn't be easy to destroy the crazy sect. Whoosh! If you want revenge, without the 5 mansion lords, you'll just be throwing your lives away. Yi Qinghan said confidently. You think too highly of yourselves. Taizhan snorted and said to Lai Zhongtian and D Monarch, Yi Qinghan can't use his divine weapon continuously. It's easy to kill him. Do you want to help? You're courting death. Taizhan, if you dare say another word, I'll kill you instantly. Grand Monarch Shura threatened. Tai Zhan's face was pale. He looked at Grand Monarch Shura, and his thoughts became more and more intense. Shura wasn't from the mythical realm. Chapter 611. At this moment, the southern mountain pass had gathered 4 prefecture lords. Yi Qinghan, who had a superior divine artifact, was one of them. More than 20 arrogant faction inner sect experts were another. The southern mountain pass was brewing, and the murderous intent was getting stronger. Soon, 2 more lords arrived in front of the southern mountain pass. They were the lords of the Mu clan and the Shattered Army clan. The aura became strange. Both sides were very careful. The lord's combat power was about the same, and only Lord Gongyang was slightly weaker. One more lord would determine the outcome of the battle. Palace Master Mu fell silent. People would die in a chaotic battle between palace masters. Even the high and mighty palace masters would die in battle easily. Even if Grand Monarch Shura was very strong, he could die in battle at any time if he was surrounded, let alone Palace Master Mu. It was one thing to build a relationship with Yi Qinghan, but if he couldn't even keep his life, he wouldn't be alive to enjoy the benefits. Shattered Army stood in the distance and didn't say anything. He seemed to have sensed that Yi Qinghan was very powerful. It wouldn't be good to offend him now, even though he hated Yi Qinghan and the Crazy Manor. If it weren't for them, the Mu clan would have been taken down. The 2 sides faced each other. The Mu clan and the Shattered Army clan didn't say anything. The aura around them was suppressed, and the world was still. Han Mang stood in the distance and watched everything. He couldn't help but frown when he saw that the Crazy Manor was suppressing the 3 lords. He wanted to contact the Wild Blade Union, but there was no suitable place for him to enter the alternate space to contact the other lords. The higher-ups of the 3 divine nations were already aware of the 3 powerful manor heads' arrival at the Southern Mountains Pass. They quickly reacted, wanting to rope in Yi Qinghan at this moment. They all sent out manor heads to the Southern Mountains Pass. The Western Garrison Prefecture, which was located west of the Crazy Manor, was the westernmost prefecture of the Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom. The prefecture lord was an expert from the older generation of the royal family. After receiving the message, he personally crossed a region and appeared in front of the southern garrison. The lords of the spiritual god manor of the Sanqing Divine Kingdom and the battle god manor of the Shattered Army Divine Kingdom had also arrived. The incident in the southern mountains fortress was getting more and more serious, and it seemed to have reached a point of no return. More and more manor head-level powerhouses were gathering. In less than half a day, 9 mansion masters had arrived at the southern mountain pass. And that was not including Yi Qinghan and the inner sect of the insane sect. Roger was a little stunned. He didn't expect his actions to cause such a huge incident in the Southern Mountains Pass, and it seemed to be getting worse. As soon as the Spiritual Gods Manor, West Suppression Manor, and War Gods Manor's manor lords arrived at the Southern Mountain Fortress, they immediately sent a voice transmission to Yi Qinghan, hoping that Yi Qinghan would lead the crazed manor to pledge their loyalty to the Divine Nation. As long as Yi Qinghan agreed, the Divine Nation would step in to settle this matter. Yi Qinghan groaned. Was this considered looting a burning house? However, this was not the time to offend these 3 forces. After all, they were the strongest forces in the mythical dimension. Yi Qinghan said to the 3 divine nations, "For the time being, there is no need for your divine nations to step in. My crazed manor can still deal with it. If we can't, we will naturally prioritize your sincerity." The 3 mansion masters didn't say much. They just stood far away in their own territory, watching the complicated situation unfold. "Why don't the 5 of you state your intentions?" Tai Zhan frowned. The 5 of them had appeared without saying anything. They couldn't focus on dealing with the insane sect. He couldn't help but feel depressed. At this moment, Mu clan's war god temple's Lu Zheng also arrived. His only son was in the insane sect. Now that the insane sect was under attack by so many mansion masters, how could he not come? Lu Zheng didn't hesitate to stand on the insane sect's side. Although he wasn't a mansion master, he had already reached the peak middle level. Although his combat strength was slightly weaker than the mansion masters, his combat strength couldn't be ignored. Once Lu Zheng stood on the mansion master's side, Mu Clan's mansion master had no choice but to do so. Otherwise, he would lose the support of the people and offend Yi Qinghan. The insane sect is a force that developed from the Mu Clan. Besieging the insane sect is the same as besieging the Mu Clan. This old man has no choice but to stand on the side. Mu Clan's mansion master said in a deep voice. Brother Mu, Kuang Fu was the one who declared war on my mercenary group first. You have to think carefully before you do anything. If you choose the wrong side, you won't be so lucky next time. Tai Zhan warned coldly. That's right. The Southern Mountain Pass superintendent is too presumptuous. He directly killed a small group of our mercenary group. This is the same as declaring war on Tai Zhan. Does the Mu clan also want to declare war on the Iron Battle mercenary group? The Snow clan's patriarch asked coldly. Who are you? Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows and looked at the Snow clan's patriarch. The Snow clan's patriarch, Xue Qinggu. Xue Qinggu said coldly. Xue Qinggu, as the patriarch of a clan, you can't even distinguish between right and wrong. So, according to you, if the insane sect's army were to randomly bully people and beat up the Snow clan's guards, would the Snow clan respectfully send them back? Yi Qinghan asked disdainfully. What do you think the Snow clan is? Of course we would kill them on the spot if they dared to behave so atrociously in the Snow clan. Xue Qinggu replied angrily without even thinking. I had the same idea as you, so I killed them all. Do you think Roger was wrong to kill them? Yi Qinghan asked indifferently. Xue Qinggu's breath stagnated. He was speechless. Bully people and beat up the guards of the insane sect? Who can testify? You killed them. The dead can't testify. You can do whatever you want. Tai Zhan said coldly. The dead can't testify? The thousands of merchants and guests in the Southern Mountain Pass can testify that day. You want me to summon all of them here for you to confront? Yi Qinghan said calmly. Those are all your people. This old man doesn't believe it. Also, Yi Qinghan, you used a divine artifact to suppress 1 million of my mercenaries. It's clear that the insane sect doesn't care about people's lives. A murderous demon like you, this old man will punish you on behalf of the heavens. Tai Zhan said domineeringly. Since you said so, there's no need to reason with me. Let's fight. I want to see if you can win against the insane sect. Yi Qinghan said indifferently. Let's fight. There's no need to talk so much nonsense. If reason doesn't work, then we can only use our fists. Whoever's fists are harder is the boss. This was the law that Yi Qinghan believed in. You're really arrogant. You kill people like they're nothing. You're so domineering. You don't care about the heroes of the world. Do you really think the insane sect can't be defeated? At that moment, a poisonous heat aura enveloped the Southern Mountain Pass. Even the mansion masters were shocked. They all turned to look into the distance. A person in a black robe with a black veil over his head covered his entire body. They couldn't see his identity, but his aura alone made Grand Sovereign Shura frown. He's very strong. It'll take me a lot of time to kill him, Grand Sovereign Shura whispered. With someone like this holding him back, he couldn't guarantee the safety of Yi Qinghan and the others. Once a chaotic battle broke out, the insane sect might be destroyed. Yi Qinghan didn't know any experts from the Middle Realm. This person was so strong, but he was hiding his identity. His origin was definitely not ordinary. Who is this person? Can you guess, Mansion Master Mu? Yi Qinghan looked at Mansion Master Mu and asked in a low voice. Mansion Master Mu frowned as he looked at the newcomer. He had a bad premonition. With such powerful fire elemental fluctuations and hiding behind a veil, he was obviously afraid of being recognized. This person's identity was obvious. However, this person's veil was made of a special material. Divine sense couldn't pass through it, and his voice was changed. Without any evidence, Mansion Master Mu didn't dare to say anything. I can only guess. Without any evidence, you can't say anything. Mansion Master Mu reminded. All right. You just have to tell me which force he's from, Yi Qinghan said seriously. Mansion Master Mu took a deep breath and said, Instructor from Tian K Theological Academy. Han Yuan. Yi Qinghan nodded. What Mansion Master Mu said was the same as what he had guessed. All the people he had offended were here, except for Tian K Theological Academy. This person was indeed Han Yuan. However, he couldn't come out personally. As an instructor, if he failed to deal with the crazed sect, it would be equivalent to dragging the School of Theology into the war. The School of Theology prided itself on being sacred and didn't participate in worldly wars. He was only a great instructor of a department. He didn't have the right to speak on behalf of the School of Theology. Even if the School of Theology wanted to speak, it would have to be done by the vice principal. Today is really interesting. So many people are here. The fellow Taoist who gave the crazed sect a chance of survival is here. Now, there's another guy who dares to speak without even showing his face. What a joke. Yi Qinghan gripped the 10 directions seal tightly and opened the veins in his body. He had just used so much power from the celestial source of chaos that his body couldn't take it. After resting for so long, he felt that he could use the 10 directions seal again. How dare you talk to this old man like that? Han Yuan's murderous intent condensed into a solid form and pressed down on Yi Qinghan with a terrifying will. Yi Qinghan felt as if his entire body was being pricked by needles. Han Yuan's strength had already surpassed the limits of an ordinary mansion master. He could even be compared to the great sovereign Shura who had crossed plains. Since the other party had already made his stance clear, showing weakness was akin to lowering his own morale. Yi Qinghan wouldn't do such a stupid thing. He used the 10 directions seal's aura to counterattack. The aura of a superior god exploded in the air, making the mansion master's hair stand on end. I only think of you as a dog who doesn't dare to show his face. Trying to pressure me with your aura? If you think you can control the situation and destroy the crazed sect, then just do it. Let's see if I can kill all of your so-called mansion masters when the crazed sect is destroyed. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Just as Yi Qinghan's aura was rising uncontrollably, and the incident in the southern mountain pass was about to escalate into a chaotic battle between the manor heads. Even the manor head was on tenterhooks. At that moment, Long Lan used the realm gate to rush to the southern mountain pass and sent a voice transmission to the manor head of Western Suppression Prefecture. The manor head of Western Suppression Prefecture instantly stood beside Yi Qinghan. The Western Garrison's stance was equivalent to the Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom's stance. Tai Zhan's expression turned ugly. The god of war manor and spirit god's manor lords frowned at the same time. The West Garrison Manor's actions were akin to sending charcoal in the snow, and they were forcing Yi Qinghan to declare his stance. Yi Qinghan's attitude towards the three nations would change. Chapter 6:12. The Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom's Western Garrison's declaration made the already complicated situation even more dangerous. Even Han Mang, as a Divine College's great teacher, found it difficult to handle. Yi Qinghan was strong and refused to back down. The Iron Battle Mercenary Corps had suffered heavy losses and was destined to be unable to back down. Otherwise, the Iron Battle Mercenary Corps would collapse. At this moment, Yi Qinghan didn't want to fight. There were less than 3 months until Medusa completed her evolution. Then, the crazed manor would have another manor head. Emperor Yi would also enter the intermediate divine realm at any time. It was only a matter of time before the crazed manor became the #1 manor in the middle realm. Iron Battle, my crazed manor will not abandon anyone. Today, even an ordinary soldier will not be slaughtered by you, let alone a high-ranking superintendent like Roger. You want to fight to the death? I'm afraid you don't have the ability. Now, you only have one choice, and that is to retreat from the southern mountain pass. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Ha, kid, you killed hundreds of thousands of my mercenaries and you want me to retreat with just one sentence? Is that even possible? Iron Battle was so angry that he laughed. He couldn't wait to rush up and kill Yi Qinghan. You deserve it. Your army is already at the gates. Do you want me to open the gates and let you trample on the crazed manor's territory? Yi Qinghan retorted disdainfully. Big brother, why are you talking nonsense with him? Let's just fight and kill the rest of the mercenaries. Di Longtian looked at Yi Qinghan. He really wanted to fight with this so-called manor head. More than 20 inner sect experts were no match for a single mannerhead? I agree with little Tion. Some people don't know their place until they are taught a lesson. They don't care about the world. Shirgu said. The inner sect experts were all hawks. They wanted to fight, not retreat. A single king was not scary, but a group of kings was scary. No matter how strong a person was, they would have to think twice before attacking one person. If they were hit by one person, they would be dazed for a breath of time. A breath of time was enough for these 20 over people to attack hundreds of times. Even the mannerhead would lose a layer of skin. Just as the two sides were in a tit-for-tat confrontation, Yao Can led the little boy across the southern mountains pass. He looked at the many mannerheads sternly, as if he was an adult scolding a child. He coldly said, "A bunch of old fogies. Do you have nothing better to do after eating? With so many prefecture lords gathered together, they really don't fear death." As a godly apothecary, Yao Can had saved countless lives. Among the 10 or so mannerheads outside the southern mountain pass, at least 10 of them had received Yao Can's help. Once a mannerhead was severely injured, it was very difficult to heal. Aside from a godly apothecary, not many people could heal them. All the godly apothecaries in the Middle Realm were comparable to superior gods. Even mannerheads had to treat them with respect. When Taizhan saw that Yao Can had stepped in, his face immediately turned ugly. After all, he had received Yao Can's kindness twice. Not to mention Yao Can reprimanding him, even if Yao Can slapped him twice, he wouldn't have anything to say. "Old Yao, this kid is too much." Taizhan angrily glared at Yi Qinghan and complained helplessly. "How is he being too much? You brought so many mercenaries to the southern mountains pass for no reason. Did you expect them to open the gate and surrender? Since it's clear that you want to start a war, you should be prepared to be wiped out. He has already broken the defense of your mercenaries. It should be easy for him to slaughter the remaining 100,000 strong fighters. But did he kill them all?" Yao Can asked coldly. Taizhan was speechless. Yi Qinghan was indeed merciful. Otherwise, he could have led his army and annihilated the remaining mercenaries in a single attack. Sometimes you have to give yourself face. If others give it to you and you don't want it, don't blame others for beating you up. Look at you bunch of mannerheads. Are all the people in the arrogant sect older than you? You guys are really shameless, especially you. Are you representing the forces behind you? Or is this just your attitude alone? Yao Can stared at Han Mang and said coldly. No matter how strong Han Mang was, he couldn't be strong in front of Yao Can. This was because his relationship with Yao Can was no longer a simple one of kindness. Yao Can was his martial uncle. Martial uncle? Han Mang knew that he couldn't hide his identity from Yao Can. He could only bow. "I have already entered the arrogant sect and become the honorable divine apothecary of the arrogant sect. You guys are forcing my hand." Yao Can's firm attitude made Taizhan, Han Mang, and the others feel helpless. If there's really a grudge that can't be resolved, then let's fight. This is the traditional way to resolve it. As long as you send the younger generation, I won't interfere no matter how many of the arrogant sect's fighters are killed. But if you bunch of mannerheads dare to mess around, you will be my enemy. Now, discuss whether you want to fight or attack the southern mountains pass. Yao Can said firmly. The arrogant sect probably wouldn't be afraid of anyone in the same realm as them. Then let's fight. The location is at the southern mountains pass. The time is 1 month from now. Taizhan and Han Mang both wanted to fight. After all, with their connections, it was easy for them to find more than 10 chief disciples. Coupled with the 4th and 5th year students of the School of Divinity, they could probably exhaust the arrogant sect's inner sect. But Yi Qinghan can't use that divine artifact. Although I don't know what it is, it should be at least a mid-level great perfection divine artifact, right? How can the younger generation resist it? Han Mang had been paying attention to Yi Qinghan, especially the Shifang seal in his hand. The moment it exploded, it was so terrifying that even he felt a little strained. Sure. Yi Qinghan agreed without hesitation. But after thinking for a moment, he said, there are only 43 people in the inner sect. Including me, that's 44 people. So, we will only accept 44 challenges. If the number exceeds this number, we will not accept any challenge. Cut the crap. If you want to fight, then fight to the death. Kill to the last person. This is the rule. We will send out 100 people, so you must send out 100 people. Otherwise, don't blame us for taking turns. Han Mang said coldly. Yi Qinghan frowned. It would be easy for the other side to send out 100 people. With so many factions, it would be easy for any one of them to send out 100 people. But the arrogant sect was different. Even the outer sect couldn't send out 50 people, let alone 100 people. Even if they could gather 100 people, the remaining 50 people would die for nothing. If two factions fight, there will be two stages. The first stage will be a 100-person challenge. They might fight to the last 10 people, then join forces to fight until one side's younger generation is completely annihilated. Mu Mannerhead reminded in a low voice. They have the advantage in numbers, and they are all members of God's organization. If they don't, they will scatter. Tai Zhan and Han Mang will probably spend a lot to gather the chief disciples of the various factions. 100 people might be easy for them, but this is unfair to the arrogant sect. I don't recommend that you accept. Can I challenge them consecutively? Yi Qinghan frowned and asked. Yes, but don't underestimate the chief disciples of any faction. Although they are young, they are all mid-level almighty gods. You will be lucky if you can defeat one of them. It will be difficult for you to defeat 3 in a row, Mu Mannerhead said in a low voice. I accept on his behalf. 100 people it is, but I will set the time. It will be 6 months later, and the location will still be the Southern Mountain Pass. Yao Can suddenly agreed. Yi Qinghan then nodded and accepted the challenge. He was ready to use the arrogant sect's strength to fight against the 100 strongest members of God's organization's younger generation. Tai Zhan and the others left. In order to eliminate the arrogant sect, Han Mang and the others gathered in the alternate space again the next day. This time, there were more than 300 people. More than 300 manor heads gathered together. Even a god nation would have to be careful. Han Mang stared at the crowd and said in a low voice, I would like to invite your chief disciples to fight. The price is to enter Tian Ke Divine College to study secret techniques for 3 years. Of course, if they die in battle, I will not be responsible. As long as the contestants win and kill a member of the inner sect of the arrogant sect, the Iron Battle Mercenary Group will send a letter. In the future, I, Tai Zhan, will help you at least once. Tai Zhan hated the arrogant sect to the core. In order to eliminate the inner sect members, he would do anything. Is there a need to mobilize so many people for a small arrogant sect? Do you need the chief disciples of so many factions to fight? Could it be that the masters of the inner sect of the arrogant sect are strong enough to challenge all the young masters of God's organization? The Wild Sword Alliance's leader asked disdainfully. Of course not. I hope that the strongest of the younger generation of each faction will fight and kill all the masters of the inner sect of the arrogant sect. I want a 100% kill, not a serious injury. I want Yi Qinghan to regret this. I want him to die in remorse. Boom. Tai Zhan punched deep into the alternate space. The alternate space trembled, showing how angry he was at the moment. More than 300 factions had sent out 100 chief disciples. Even if these people were not the strongest, they would certainly be geniuses specially selected to deal with the arrogant sect. The pressure on the arrogant sect was great. In the arrogant sect, Yi Qinghan lowered his head and pondered. There were only 44 masters in the arrogant sect. Including Lu Zhantian, there was a huge gap between 45 people. It was obviously impossible to find outside help from God's organization. It's not that easy to win. First, everyone in the inner sect will have to break through to the level of a medium god. Second, you will have to find more than 30 outside help. As for the remaining 20 or so, you can only use them as cannon fodder. Leave the matter of breaking through to me. The savings over the years should be enough for all of you to break through to the level of a middle-level god. As for external help, I can recommend a dozen to you. As for the rest, think of your own ways. Senior, with my son's talent, With your help, how long will it take for him to refine the godhood of Master Gongyang? Yi Qinghan suddenly remembered that the godhood of Master Gongyang had not been used yet. If Emperor Yi could refine this godhood, he would have the weakest combat power of a master. It would be relatively easy for him to kill 20 or 30 chief disciples. Coupled with his own celestial chaos source, he might not even need outside help. A master-level godhood is not that easy to refine. Even if Emperor Yi has the heavenly soul godhood and the unity of man and nature, it will take him at least a year. In addition, he has to cultivate a secret technique of the master level. It will take him another 2 or 3 years to learn it. It will be too late for him to refine it now, Yao Can said without hesitation. Chapter 613. With the support of Yao Can, the inner sect members poured large amounts of top-grade divine herbs into their bodies as if they were free. After that, the inner sect experts all went to every corner of the manor to absorb the power of faith. There were tens of billions of living beings in the manor, even more than the population of Owlwar Planet. They all believed in the inner sect of the manor and were the masters of the manor. Yi Qinghan didn't hide his strength. He passed the great Nirvana sword art to the sword experts of the inner sect. Xia Qiue, Gu Qingyu, and the others all went into seclusion to fully comprehend the great Nirvana sword art. According to Clan Master Mu's explanation, the younger generation referred to those who were less than 3,000 years old. No matter how high their cultivation base was, they were still the younger generation. However, those who could truly walk to the forefront of the younger generation mostly had the cultivation base of a middle-level god priest. Only a few of them had rushed to the middle-level Great Perfection realm. It wasn't easy to find someone younger than 3,000 years old. Even Tai Ching Xian couldn't be considered one. Even if he was a prince, he could only be considered mid-level. Wu Chengfeng was one, Dragon Nest was another. As for the others, Yi Qinghan didn't know them at all. Emperor Yi couldn't refine the manor head's godhood in half a year, so he couldn't join forces with him to defeat the 100 experts. He had to find external help. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. The quality of external help was too high. It had to be at least as strong as the inner sect. Moreover, it was very dangerous this time. He could die at any time. He couldn't get external help by relying on favors. If he died in battle, he couldn't explain it. He could only use treasures to exchange for help. Great Nirvana sword art. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. He decided to cut off all means of retreat. Dragon Nest was currently at the Crazy Manor auction house. However, there were very few people at the auction today, so few that it was negligible. Crazy Manor was surrounded by people from God's organization. Only the West Garrison Manor could enter. But now, Crazy Manor was at the center of the storm. Who would dare to enter? Yi Qinghan went to the dragon's lair and explained his intentions. He hoped that the dragon's lair could recommend a true expert to help the Kuang Manor. I'm afraid it won't be that easy to find them. God's organization is an organization that transcends the rules. These people seem to come from various major forces and are a mixed bunch. They gather when they have something to gain and disperse when they don't. However, once someone is suppressed by Scandinavia, they will swarm over and band together. Generally, no one is willing to offend them. Helping you with external aid is tantamount to fighting against God's organization, so. Yi Qinghan sucked in a breath of cold air. He was confident that he was the most terrifying existence of the younger generation. He was only 1,500 years old, and with the 10-direction seal and the primal chaos source, he wouldn't lose to the lords. However, laughing at the heavens and Pan-Gu heaven could injure the lords without any treasures. In terms of talent, they probably surpassed him. Speaking of the number 3, there is a popular saying among the upper echelons of the mythological plane. It's called the 3 heavens, who can defy gods. His name is Xin Yuantian. He has been in the planar battlefield since he was a child, fighting as a soldier. After 2,000 years, he fought his way up from a demigod priest to a lord prefect. He is an undying legend in the planar battlefield. Not even the top 2 lords of the planar battlefield are as famous as he is. Dragon Lair continued to talk about the top 10 of the mythological plane's ranking list. Yi Qinghan listened carefully. These people were definitely terrifying existences. If they fought, it was hard to say who would live and who would die. You have to be careful of the number 9 because he is the son of the Defiant God mercenary group's leader. He has the bloodline of the primordial divine lord. Although the bloodline is rare, it is not something that ordinary people can compare to. His name is Guyun. 400 years ago, he was able to exchange 3,000 blows with a lord without losing. Whether he can defeat a lord now or not, only he knows. If you want the Defiant God mercenary group to win, you have to find someone in the top 10. Number 12, Mad God Sword King of the Mad Sword Alliance. When he was a great emperor, he was conferred the title of War Emperor by the Great Elder of God's organization. He is also a member of God's organization. To deal with him, you still have to find someone in the top 10. Dragon Lair spoke for an hour, listing the names of the top 20 people on the Wind Cloud list, their combat power, and their battle achievements over the years. There were 6 people from God's organization, and the Crown Prince of the Holy Dragon Divine Kingdom was only ranked 10th. It was clear how powerful the elites of the mythological plane were. With your combat power that destroyed a mercenary group of 1,000,000, you should be able to squeeze into the top 20. But you have to know that the ranking of combat power is from 200 years ago. So, whether you can enter the top 20 is still to be considered, Dragon Lair said in a serious tone. Yi Qinghan nodded. Being able to enter the top 20 was the lifelong dream of many people. Dragon Lair definitely didn't dare to think about it. Even Wu Qingfeng didn't have a chance. It's probably impossible to invite the top 3 people on the ranking, but it's possible to invite Yang Ru, the 5th-ranked chief disciple of the Wilderness God Academy. In addition to my brother, you still need to find 4 people in the top 20 to fight against the top 10 of God's organization. Even if you can handle one, you still need to find 3 more. Dragon Lair explained. My son is one. Yi Qinghan believed that with Emperor Ye's strength, he still had a chance to defeat the 19th-ranked princess of the Snow Clan. You're really willing to let her charge into battle. You have to know that she can die if she's not careful. This kind of battle is even more dangerous than a battle between lords. Dragon Lair frowned. Yi Qinghan fell silent. Emperor Yi had experienced more than 1 or 2 battles. She was destined to reach the peak. Protecting her would only harm her. Let me give you another reminder. Berserk God Saber King and Guyun are still in the top 12. They have a wide network of friends. They might be able to pull in 2 powerhouses to participate in the arena battle. At that time, Kuang Fu will have a harder time, Shroud said. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. If he wanted to win this arena battle, he would have to pull in the 7th and top 20 people on the ranking. Are there any rogue cultivators in the top 20 who need a secret technique on the level of a lord? Yi Qinghan asked. There are 2. The 13th-ranked Qin Lang and the 17th-ranked Lin Yi. Both of them are sword experts. Their personalities are strange to the point that they don't have any friends. I can provide you with their addresses and contact information. You'll have to talk to them in person. Dragon Lair then wrote down the address and contact information on a talisman and handed it to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan opened it and took a look. Qin Lang, a loose cultivator, cultivated the ancient broken sword style. He was a mid-level extreme Dao Almighty. He had been traveling in the northwest of the southern mountain pass and had a fixed residence, which was located in the western mountain prefecture. Lin Yi had an ancient bloodline. The Lin clan was also a large clan in ancient times. In the end, the clan declined and became a rogue cultivator. His secret technique was the Lin clan's 9 forms of the godly sword. He was an assassin, and it was said that as long as one could pay the price, they would accept any mission to kill a lord. This person was training in the southern wasteland of the 3 clear divine kingdom, searching for the peak of the 9 forms of the godly sword. Yi Qinghan slowly got up and left the auction house. He found Emperor Yi and told him his plan. My son, the crazed manor cannot do without someone who can control the entire situation. Therefore you must stay here. This time, I will go to the western mountain prefecture and the southern wasteland alone. I will definitely be back within half a year. Remember, do not leave the crazed manor's territory. Do you understand? Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Then isn't it too dangerous for you to go out alone? Emperor Yi said awkwardly. Yi Qinghan waved the saber in his hand and said proudly, Don't worry. With the 10 directions seal and the primal chaos mana, as long as I am not surrounded by a few lords, I will definitely be able to escape. Chapter 6:14. In the southern mountain pass, Yi Qinghan rushed out alone, heading straight for the western mountain pass. The western mountain pass was northeast of the southern mountain pass, separated by a lawless area where bandits and mercenaries ran amok. Adventurers were everywhere. Yi Qinghan restrained his aura and walked through the forest like an ordinary adventurer. He held the dark sky sword in his hand. With the great Nirvana sword as his foundation, controlling the dark sky sword was easy. Yi Qinghan also took the god-slaying whip in Medusa's hand for self-defense. He was alone outside, and the enemy was the unpredictable god's organization. It was always good to have extra precautions. At this moment, no one knew that the man in front of them was Yi Qinghan, who had appeared out of nowhere. A man holding a 7-foot heavy sword didn't seem out of place at all. When he passed by many adventurer groups, whenever Yi Qinghan approached, they would vigilantly take out their weapons and coldly stare at Yi Qinghan. Their mentality was very strong. In the mythological plane, everyone was indifferent to each other, let alone trust. Who knew how many years it would take to establish a group of adventurers? To reach the western mountain pass, one had to pass through this lawless mountain range. The space-time turbulence in the sky was enough to kill an intermediate god, so one couldn't fly randomly. Flying dozens of meters in the air was even more so. Flying beasts ran amok, so flying practitioners could easily be attacked. Everyone was walking on foot, and Yi Qinghan was the same. However, his speed was very fast, as if he was running madly. The sharp sword in his hand could casually kill a ferocious beast. After killing the beast, he didn't take its divinity, fur, or flesh, which attracted some people's attention. Some people chose to follow Yi Qinghan and collect the prey that Yi Qinghan killed. They were happy to be at ease. Yi Qinghan only wanted to reach the western garrison as soon as possible. He didn't want to waste any time on the road. The stars had changed, and he traveled during the day and at night. He only stopped to rest when he was tired. He didn't care about these prey at all. As long as the beasts didn't attack him, he wouldn't attack either. On the third night, Yi Qinghan had already entered the depths of the mountain range. As long as he crossed this mountain range, he would be in a populated area. As a precaution, Yi Qinghan started to rest in the afternoon. He slept until late at night, when he had recovered most of his strength. Just as he was about to get up and continue his journey, he suddenly heard a commotion and exclamation ahead of him. Hurry up and leave! Hurry up and leave, I'll help you delay. Whoosh, an unknown ferocious beast's roar shook the mountains and rivers, awakening the silence within a radius of hundreds of miles. Then, the world fell into a deathly silence, and even the sound of breathing could be heard. Swish, 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 swish. More than 10 figures rushed out from the front. They were all in a sorry state. There were both men and women, and they were all dressed in the same uniform. They were either from the same family or the same sect. A giant beast rushed out from the depths of the mountain range at the front. It looked like a tiger but had a pair of wings. Its body was as big as a small mountain, and it was rampaging. Rocks and trees were all broken and collapsed. Under the moonlight, its mouth was full of fangs, emitting a cold and blood-red glow. Its green eyes were terrifying, and it looked like a creature that had crawled out from the depths of hell. Its huge wings crushed a huge tree, and its front legs crushed rocks. It swooped down and killed a low-level god priest, swallowing even his godhead. 14th brother. More than 10 people were in ragged clothes, and some of them were so scared that their legs had turned to jelly. They collapsed 20 meters in front of Yi Qinghan, looking at the giant beast in despair. They didn't know what to do. Yi Qinghan frowned as he looked at the giant beast. It was extremely ugly, and its body was uneven. It was shaped like a lonely mountain, and its skin was harder than steel. Ordinary crossbow bolts couldn't even penetrate its defense. There were a few crossbow bolts on its body, but it didn't even bleed. The giant beast pounced on the people, opening its bloody mouth, wanting to swallow all of them at once. Seeing the despair in the eyes of the group of young children and elders, Yi Qinghan sighed softly. He suddenly drew his sword, and the sword light tore through the darkness, directly slashing at the giant beast's teeth. Boom! Whoosh! The giant beast's hard teeth were directly cut off. Then, the sword light tore the giant beast's body from its mouth, splitting it in two. The huge corpse rolled, crashing into more than 10 ancient trees. The group of people in front of him turned around in horror, looking at Yi Qinghan's handsome face. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. The clan leader had been killed by the giant beast, but this giant beast couldn't even withstand a single blow in the hands of this young man in front of them. Why did you bring your family to the mountains in the middle of the night? Yi Qinghan frowned. He couldn't help but ask when he saw a young woman with a baby in swaddling clothes in her arms. Senior, thank you for saving us. We were also forced to escape from the Iron Battle mercenary group's territory in the middle of the night. Otherwise, why would we bring our child into such a dangerous place in the middle of the night? An elder cried bitterly. Along the way, the elites of the clan had all been killed by the giant beast. Now, only the old and weak were left. It was very despairing. The Iron Battle mercenary group again. Yi Qinghan's eyes were cold. This kind of thing was very common. Those with money and power were the bosses. Ordinary small clans wouldn't dare to do anything if they were bullied. Since these people ran out in the middle of the night, it was likely that someone in the clan couldn't hold back and killed the mercenary group. These people obviously weren't spies in disguise. They also didn't know that they would bump into Yi Qinghan here. They were probably really forced to do this. Do you have anywhere to go? Yi Qinghan asked in a low voice. We're preparing to go to the Western Garrison or the Crazy Manor's territory. I heard that the Crazy Manor treats ordinary clans well. The sects that go there will be given a mountain as their territory. We want to try our luck. Big Brother will pay. Can you escort us there? A young girl who looked to be only 15 or 16 years old was dressed in rags. Her forehead was broken, and she held a mid-grade spirit crystal in her hand. Under the light of the fire, she looked very pitiful. At this moment, the group of old, weak, sick, and disabled people all looked at Yi Qinghan. Even if Yi Qinghan was willing to send them out of the mountain range, with their strength, they had no chance of leaving the mountain range alive. I beg of you, sir, the hope of our clan is here. This old man doesn't want to break the legacy of the witch tribe. An old man kept kowtowing, begging Yi Qinghan to help. Yi Qinghan was surprised. The people in front of him were actually from the witch tribe, but from their clothes, they didn't look like it. You are from the witch tribe? Which witch ancestor's successor are you? Why are you dressed like this? Yi Qinghan asked in surprise. After the 5th generation of the witch god, there were no more witch gods. There were only 12 witch ancestors. Every tribe had their own legacy, but the witch ancestor or witch god was the same. We believe in the water witch ancestor. Because of the decline of the witch tribe members who have been hiding in various places have changed their names, not daring to reveal their identities. If you weren't our savior, we wouldn't have dared to tell you our identities. The few old men said helplessly. Since they were descendants of the witch tribe, Yi Qinghan couldn't just sit by and do nothing. After thinking for a while, he summoned the god-slaying eagle and said, escort them to the southern garrison. Ask Roger to arrange a territory for them and provide them with some basic necessities. Then you can return to the Crazy Manor directly. Yes, master. The god-slaying eagle transformed into a muscular man. He looked at the group of weak people in front of him and didn't look down on them. After all, he had once protected Ming Ke. Unfortunately, he didn't complete the task. This time, he didn't want to disappoint Yi Qinghan again. Berserk God Blade King's identity was very easy to recognize. He was wearing the Berserk Blade Union's uniform, with the golden word, Berserk, embroidered on his left shoulder and a golden short blade embroidered on his right shoulder. Other than the Berserk Blade Union's Union Master, Only Berserk Blade God King had the qualifications to embroider the golden word and blade. Frenzied Blade God King's purpose in visiting Qin Lang was very simple. It was the same as Yi Qinghan's. How could Yi Qinghan let them complete their business deal first? His figure flashed and appeared outside the main hall in the backyard. The main door was not closed. When Qin Lang saw that it was a stranger, he immediately frowned and said coldly, "Aren't you too arrogant to enter my Qin manor as you please? What do you think my home is?" Berserk God Blade King looked at Yi Qinghan and could not help but laugh disdainfully. He said indifferently, "Brother Qin, you might not know him. He is Yi Qinghan, the leader of the crazy sect, whose name has recently become famous in the nearby large manors. Yi Qinghan greets the two of you. I have no choice but to take the liberty to disturb you. I hope Brother Qin won't be angry." Yi Qinghan bowed slightly, giving the two of them enough face. Qin Lang's expression became slightly better. He said in a muffled voice, "So it's Brother Yi. You are indeed the manor lord of the crazy sect." Yi Qinghan smiled and shook his head. He said, "Brother Qin, you should know that I traveled thousands of miles to find you. Naturally, I want to ask for your help. If the Frenzied Blade Union gets here first, my crazy sect will definitely go against you. However, I really don't want to be your enemy. I can only force my way into your manor. If Brother Qin is still not happy, you can punish me as you wish whether the deal is settled or not." The three auras in the backyard intertwined and surged into the sky. The Sword Dao was cruel and ruthless, while the Frenzied Blade Union was ruthless and tyrannical. Only Yi Qinghan's body exuded a faintly discernible aura of the five elements. Although he seemed gentle, his battle intent had already soared into the sky. "Yi Qinghan, going against God's organization is not a good thing. Seeing that you have some ability, I advise you to take a step back. Hand over Roger and personally go to the Iron Battle Mercenary Group to ask for punishment. Also, hand over the crazy sect to me. I guarantee that you will still have a foothold in the mythological plane. If you don't listen to me, the crazy sect will be destroyed in half a year." Yi Qinghan snorted and said disdainfully, "Brother Qin, you are a top figure of the Frenzied Blade Union. Don't you know what the bottom line of my crazy sect is? It's not my style to be bullied by others. I have no enmity with God's organization. Since you forced my hand, don't blame me for being merciless when the time comes. Being arrogant is a good thing." Chapter 616. Great Nirvana Sword Art. Qin Lang was not the only one who was shocked. Even the Berserk God Blade Monarch was shocked. He did not believe that Yi Qinghan would take out such a good secret technique for this battle. In fact, Yi Qinghan did not even have such a secret technique. How many of the prefecture lords in the world possessed a top-notch secret technique of the prefecture lord level? How can you prove that it's a top-level secret technique? Qin Lang calmed himself down and did not show any signs of exaggeration. "One sword is enough," Yi Qinghan said calmly. "Brother Yi, please use your sword." Qin Lang stood up and stared at Yi Qinghan. The Berserk God Blade Monarch did not say anything. If Yi Qinghan could really take out a top-level secret technique, his mission would have failed. God's organization would not take out such a secret technique for a single person to fight in the arena. God's organization did not need Qin Lang either. They just did not want Qin Lang to be invited by Kuang Mansion. "It's too powerful. I'm afraid it will destroy your mansion. Let's go outside the city. How about it?" Yi Qinghan stood up and said calmly. Qin Lang nodded and took the lead to walk out. The Berserk God Blade Monarch looked at Yi Qinghan calmly. The arrogance in his eyes could not be hidden. His body was like a blade, sharp and domineering. His blade intent was not any weaker than Yi Qinghan's. In fact, it was even stronger. "Can I have a look as well?" "Brother, please." Yi Qinghan looked at the Berserk God Blade Monarch. He had some thoughts in his mind, but he did not say it out loud. The three of them moved quickly and appeared outside the city. Qin Lang's name was well known in the mythological realm. Who did not know him? Moreover, this was where he lived. "Look, isn't that Lord Qin Lang? Who is that beside him? He looks very familiar." Idiot, didn't you see his clothes? Who else can it be other than Lord Berserk God Blade Monarch? Wow. Both of them are in the top 20 of the Wind Cloud list. Who is that person with the sword? To be able to walk together with the two lords, he must not be simple. Idiot, that person is the one who has been stirring up a storm recently, Yi Qinghan of Kuang Mansion. You're the idiot. Even I know Yi Qinghan uses a saber. He wields the 7 feet of madness. This person uses a sword. Do you think I'm stupid? Motherfucker, you're really stupid. I've seen him in the Southern Mountains Pass. If I say he is, then he is. Bang. Outside the city, a group of people were discussing Yi Qinghan and the others. In the end, a fight broke out. Immediately, smoke and dust rose everywhere and miserable screams filled the air. The three of them shook their heads and sped up, leaving the city gate in a flash. The West Garrison Gobi was located at the Western Desert, 3,000 miles away from the West Garrison Prefecture. There was no sign of life in this place, and it was hot all year round. The heat could even kill a lower-level deity priest, so few people came here. The desert rolled over and over, as if it could swallow an expert into the ground at any time. It was like the waves of the sea, hair-raising. Yi Qinghan and the other two stood on the cloud with their swords in their arms. Make your move. If it's really a manor head-level secret technique, I can help you fight 5 matches. I'll definitely win 5 matches. Qin Lang said in a deep voice. Yi Qinghan unsheathed his sword. It was as fast as lightning, shattering the void. There was no turning back. A ray of sword light pierced through the clouds and appeared in front of Qin Lang. It suddenly turned into 3 rays of sword light, capable of tearing apart shackles and destroying time and space. The aura of destruction spread hundreds of miles away. Qin Lang was shocked. He actually managed to block 2 of the swords in the blink of an eye. He then somersaulted and flew backwards, evading the last sword. However, he couldn't block the incoming sword chi. Swoosh! The sword light streaked across Qin Lang's waist, cutting through his defensive divine robes and blasting into the sea of sand. Boom! The sword chi raised a 100-meter-long sand wave with a terrifying momentum that surged towards the depths. At this moment, Qin Lang's eyes flickered with radiance. He didn't even see how Yi Qinghan made his move. The sword had already attacked, turning into 3 rays of sword light in an instant. All of them had terrifying destructive power. There was no way to evade any of them. The sword chi would tear apart the divine body irreparably. The frenzied god saber monarch involuntarily summoned an ink-black divine saber. He looked at Yi Qinghan with vigilance. The previous sword had already made him feel danger. Yi Qinghan was qualified to injure him. He was also qualified to draw his saber. Good sword technique. Reversing time and space, yin and yang. It's irreparable. 1 sword turning into 3 and it's impossible to defend. It's definitely a manor head-level secret technique. As for whether it's a top-level secret technique, I can't tell. The frenzied god saber monarch said in a deep voice. This is the great nirvana sword technique? Only 1 sword? Qin Lang asked in shock. There are 3 swords. I only comprehended 1 sword. Yi Qinghan said truthfully. If he had comprehended all 3 swords, he would have had a chance to kill Qin Lang. Alright, I agree. Qin Lang did not hesitate to agree to Yi Qinghan's invitation. He did not even listen to the price that the frenzied god saber monarch offered. Then he said to the frenzied god saber monarch, Dao friend frenzied god, I'm sorry. I have no interest in becoming enemies with God's organization. This battle is only a single elimination tournament. If we meet in the future, I won't show any mercy. I hope you understand. The frenzied god saber monarch and Qin Lang had some friendship. Otherwise, Qin Lang would not have bothered to say such words to him. The frenzied god saber monarch nodded. Without God's organization, he would participate in a single elimination tournament and obtain a manor head-level sword technique. Not to mention Qin Lang, even if it was himself, if Yi Qinghan used such a saber technique, he would not hesitate to fight for crazed manor. Gather if there were benefits. Disperse if there were no benefits. This was God's organization. Yi Qinghan casually threw out a talisman and said indifferently, "This is the first move. After 5 rounds, I'll give you the other 2 moves." Qin Lang took the talisman and directly absorbed the first move of the Great Nirvana sword technique into his mind. Just as he felt the sword chi, he was attracted to it. He did not even look at Yi Qinghan and the frenzied god saber monarch. He was like this. He was obsessed with the sword Dao and never cared about the feelings of others. "Dao friend frenzied god, you and I both cultivate the crazy Dao. I really don't want to have any enmity with your union. Moreover, we have no enmity with each other. Once this single elimination tournament starts, with your strength enough to kill my inner sect members, there will be enmity between your union and me. I believe that this is not what you want. If possible, let's talk about a deal." Yi Qinghan stared at the frenzied god saber monarch. If he could pull this person into Crazed Manor's battle, Crazed Manor would save a lot of effort. If there are benefits, we will gather. If there are no benefits, we will disperse. As long as your conditions can move me and you don't betray the frenzied saber union, there is no harm in helping you. The frenzied god saber monarch said straightforwardly, "If you are sincere enough, I can even tell you a secret that will decide your life and death." Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. The frenzied god saber monarch definitely knew a lot about God's organization's decision. This was something that he could not find out. Therefore, in order to take down the frenzied god saber monarch, he hardened his heart and said, "I don't have a mansion master level saber technique, but I do have a mansion master level godhead. I don't care about this godhead. As long as Dao friend is willing to help, this godhead will be yours." There were not many mansion master level godheads. There were only a few people in the entire plane. It was impossible to fight on a daily basis. If one wanted to obtain a mansion master level godhead, they would have to go to the planar battlefield. Mansion masters could die there at any time. Even existences like the frenzied god saber monarch did not have the qualifications to enter. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.